These look so unwieldy on my head, but that's okay. They're just gonna fuck my hair up any goddamn way. On with the lights. Hey, I'm an African American. I do what I want when I fucking can. I'm an African American. I do what I want right when I can. I'm an African African American. Afrin. Welcome, 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 ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Carl, and I join you to bring you a replacement and an apology, because unfortunately I need to put off the topic that we were originally going to do today for another time. Possibly this week, maybe later, because I am more than likely going to have a guest. Not fully confirmed yet, but it is being worked on. Instead, I bring you a tale of sadness, I bring you a tale of woe. I bring you a tale about a man who was chasing tail. I'm bringing you a story of one man's desire, one man's journey, a furry's destiny to get in some butt, some tail, some knots. This is the story of the Super Orgy 69, a furry's destiny. It is the tale of one gentleman by the name of Anthony Poe, who spent 200 days undercover as a furry, and what befell him and his holes. Are you ready? Are you prepared? Are you locked in? It's not gonna be pretty. You will be sad. You will cry. You will nut. All of this, of course, sponsored by Heat Tap. As I turn my alerts back on. Brought to you by your sponsors. And speaking of said sponsors, I will be right back after I handle something. I leave you with some word from said sponsors.
You're listening to 148.8 The Coon. And now a word from one of our sponsors. Now say, are you tired of having a dinner that is lacking flavor and makes your husband look at you funny? Are you looking for some kind of dinner that is able to serve up a good sense of jazz at the table? Take from me, James Bartholomew Crow, my friends call me Jim, and have all regular spice jambalaya, red beans, and rice. Plus, more flavor than the levies. If you want to be able to jazz up your table, choose Jim Crow's tonight.
When you come to a single player Carl stream, you're not expecting this man to make fucking sense. This man is completely fucking ignorant. Insane. Crazy. One could say that somebody let an insane asylum victim out and just simply start talking on the microphone. But you stay anyways. Why? Because you are enter-fucking-tained. There's not a single moment where you don't feel something that might be finger-licking good. Just don't let him find out what your mama's first name is. He will try to fuck her. Single player Carl's, home of the nappiest. This motherfucker great. We're making it off the aisles. Let's one. Forget giving your heart to the darkness. Give yourself to the dance floor. Alright, that's enough of that. My ankle's hurt. There will be new Radio Carl segments coming soon. I just have to sit down and make them. Anyways, let me set this shit up. And for anybody, and before anybody says anything, yes, the headset is new. No, I did not buy it recently. The black and white Sony headsets that I've been using for the past 1.9 to 2 years, both have started to have shorts in their wiring. This was purchased a very long time ago. It sat in a box and was a gift originally meant for somebody, but they never received it. So I am now using them. They are Kill Pro Onikuma branded professional gaming headsets. They have a separate wire, so now I can set the audio for myself louder than it would be for others. So if there is any particular audio issues with people saying that they cannot hear enough, because now I have a button that lets me filter how loud it is. If it is too loud, please say something. Otherwise, I will not know. Though I did do an audio test, so everything should be fine. Anyways, further ado.
Anthony Poe.
Lord have mercy. It's like everything's too loud.
Saying that I was like creating like C4 explosives.
Okay. Let me get the setup for inside here. Boom. Done. Ready. And for those that are interested in listening directly to the chat, in case we have any disconnection issues, there is indeed a pinned link on YouTube that will allow you to go directly to the inside of the VsChat lobby. I do see there are some people in attendance, including Saf. Alright, let's get in it.
Hey, lovely people, it's Anthony Poe.
Saying that I was like creating like C4 explosives.
Stop hating on Furry!
Thank you, Sigma Pause.
I'd like to apologize in advance to my friends and to my family and to YouTube and to literally anybody who happens to watch this video. It's the craziest, I'm sorry.
Everybody knows furries. They've been a laughingstock of the internet for the better part of 2 decades, at least as long as I can remember. It's always kind of bugged me a little bit, because I'm like, are furries honestly that bad? That's not the main thing I want to talk about today.
On the question of whether or not a furry is bad, you're really just looking at an alternative lifestyle choice, right? Like, let me nip all of the superstitions in the bud. Furries, they're people. They're people with various levels of depravity and or kinks. Some just want to wear pieces of anthropomorphic bodysuit over themselves when they have outside interactions as a way to deal with their social engagement and anxiety fears. Some do it as a way to spice up their sex lives because they have a full-on Oginkian clinic issue where they do not feel and like themselves and their body. They do not feel like they have sexual agency, or they do not want people to recognize them for said sexual agency. The only thing that they see is their sexual attributes or their physical composition and nothing else. So they feel more comfortable in a suspiciously well put together, well crafted, with quality material fursuit. Some will wear the full body. Some poodles will wear pieces like hands and paw prints and an oversized head. And then you have all the way on the furthest end of this spectrum, past the we are clearly out of the zone of gooning and this is just you covering up your sociopathy, zoosadists. Let me say already, out of the gate, Zoo sadists are not furries, and furries do not necessarily have to be zoo sadists. The people who usually end up being furries that do that are this, they are the people who have already been long since far gone. They went on to this way as a subsection of, ironically enough, homosexuality, lesbianism, pansexuality, asexual alternative lifestyle choices, as a way to cover up and to distract people from other things going on in their life. I would behoove you to remind you of such people as Carol the Wolf and Joshua Snake Thing Richards Simmons, last name not important, who is currently serving a 300-month sentence for the zoo sadism that was done onto the dog that was in Carol the Wolf's care, that upon investigation, as well as reveals and a hacking job done on behalf of others outside of furry communities, explicitly to expulse these zoo sadists that adhere to zoo sadism out of their group, exposing the very large multi-man Telegram group that was dedicated to their debaucherous and illicit actions. We all love hating on furries. We all love mocking them. It's always funny, but really, especially because there's been conversations that have happened on air, that does not mean that just because you make fun of furries in specific, that we just make fun of furries in general. I don't give a damn what the fuck you do in private. I don't need to know about it. I don't need to hear it. Most people also agree that they don't need to know about it and they don't need to hear it. Just by wearing the fursuit, you already put yourself in the line of fire. So, I don't give a damn about that. But what we will be making fun of today is what this person has dedicated themselves to doing for those that came in after the start. Just want to get the preamble out there before anything fucking happens.
Today, I want to talk about furry parties. Furry parties have been a topic of discussion on the internet for as long as I've known what a furry is. Furries getting in a room at conventions and exploring each other's bodies.
What he's describing is called sex tourism, which is something that people actively do. They don't like having intercourse with people in the places that they know, in the places they frequent. So, furries, whether they are doing so in the suit or out of the suit, I thought we were talking about
Carl is friend, not
He is friend shaped.
Thank you, Smart Sister. I'm something shaped. No. Effectively, a furry party is nothing more than an orgy. It is an orgy with furries in it, probably in their hot-ass fucking fursuits. Unfortunately, the specificity of this is that this type of fursuit that is designed for this is actually called a mersuit. And yes, they are still suspiciously crafted and designed from suspiciously wealthy furries. Because, as I've mentioned many times before, suspiciously wealthy furries pay very, very, very big top dollar to have suits that are lined with wick material, so that when they engage in these actions, it literally has an attachment like a magnet plate. You take it off, boing, and yes, the women do have ones where they can wear it with a strap. They do indeed have the goblin strap, and it is lined in such a way where they can engage in the action and basically retain the fluids. Nasty doesn't even begin to explain it. Because if you have heard about things like Fur Affinity, if you've heard about things like Fur Forest, if you've heard about the crinkled diaper musty ass people, if you've ever heard about any event where a furry had done some debaucherous shit, especially the diaper furs, this is what they are known for doing. Because they do sex tourism simply so they can avoid being known for doing this in the places they live. It is a frequent thing. If for no other reason, because they don't want to have sex in the city that they go that they frequent and that they live in, so that nobody finds out that they are a furry. Where did I put my food? I probably left it in the kitchen.
seen so many videos about furries in my time here on YouTube, but I have never seen a video about furry parties. Are they real? Who goes to them? Are they bad? The past year since I had...
Are they real? Of course they're real. They're as real as regular sex tourism at any anime convention ever. Especially the 18-plus ones. It's actually one of the main reasons why most conventions have now become 18-plus affairs. Created by people who are intentionally trying to be e-whores. Who goes to them? Furries. Furries and curious people. They're either curious because they are in the closet about being a furry, and they want to feel safe enough to come out and do whatever they start off with. Usually starting off by being poodles, and then advancing to a rinky-dink suit, you know, some type of mascot suit that they've modified, to then making their own fully fleshed out $4,000 mersuit. Who is this? Kodako. Rewind if you need context. Are they bad? No. Because if you're doing your job, just like any goddamn sex tourism you're having at a convention, nobody should ever know.
quit YouTube, I've done two things. One, work for Mr. Beast. And two, roleplay as a furry for 200 days.
Here's a quick montage to hide how lame it is to be a YouTuber unboxing a fursona.
Oh, Fursona, in case you didn't know, is an anthropomorphic animal character adopted as an idealized or stylized representation of oneself. My Fursona's name was Sigma Paws, and this would bite me in the ass later when I tried to register for events and no one took me seriously. Now, how was I going to determine the existence of these furry parties? Well,
Going to a furry convention!
I really needed to immerse myself in this culture, right? I can't just show up to these conventions and then gain their trust as a non-furry. Now, this Sigma Paws fursuit was only $700 all up, all in, which is...
That's extremely fucking cheap. I did say that some of them have suits that can be suspiciously well crafted for up to about $4,000. It can actually go higher. Why are you a furry? Because he probably wanted to do it for content, one.
very cheap for the furry community, which only made the challenge of getting into one of these furry parties even more difficult. Now, in my quest to fully commit to the bit, I tried to wear the costume as much as I could for 200 days straight. I would work in it, I would go places in it, I would post content as my fursona. I uploaded roughly once every 2 to 3 days and started building a pretty consistent fan base. Also started getting a lot of haters.
Stop hating on furries!
I
I'm out.
communicated with my fellow furries.
Hey cutie, love the videos.
I'm not allowed near schools.
Hey Sigma, just wanted to let you know I saw
I'm out.
a recent video about that pig's head.
Whoever sent me the severed pig head, fuck you!
Don't let them get to you, buddy. They don't deserve you.
Thank you so much.
I live streamed a
So, the important thing here that I want to point out, he did something that you're not supposed to do. No, one. $4,000 is mid-level. Go higher. I beg you. Anyways, he did something that you're actually not supposed to do, which tells you that he's not actually a real furry.
as I could for 200
anybody
days straight.
spot what
I
he
would
did?
work in it, I would go places in it, I would post content as my fursona.
Can anybody tell me what he's done wrong here?
I uploaded roughly once every 2 to 3 days and started building a pretty consistent fan base.
Anyone? Can anyone tell me what he's done wrong already? What would get him clocked as a fake fur? I see 2 hands up. I'll bring you in. Welcome. Can anybody be able to tell me what in this picture demonstrates that he's a fake fur?
I'm presuming it's the fact he's not wearing furry paws.
No. I already explained what a poodle is. Saf, do you know what denotes him as not a furry?
I think the way he's wearing it specifically, but like the way he's wearing this looks kind of off.
Half right. He's hot, and he's showing off his body on TikTok as a thirst trap. When you are a furry, building an audience for yourself, you don't show off your body unless you are explicitly trying to bait people. Ace got it. Trying to bait people to specifically come into your DMs to try to hit you up to have sex. Because
I mean, I think this might vary because there are
there's a
people I've seen within the furry fandom that do show off their bodies, but they don't really have the fursuit on. But they might have puppy gear.
Yes, there's a reason. You know what that reason is?
Mm-hmm.
What is the reason?
Oh, you tell me, Carl. I actually forgot.
It's because they've already been vetted.
Oh, yeah.
He's a guy showing up somewhere, no following, no background, nobody knows him, nobody's heard of him, he doesn't have an online presence that's shown that he's done the content for a while. He has literally nothing that explains or shows that he is a person who has been a part of it for any amount of time that shows relevance to him being known, a friend of a known figure, especially one that has been vetted themselves. No background in the places where the furries usually congregate. You know, he doesn't have a fur affinity. He did not take the kink test and then post his results for other people to interact with.
Oh, he didn't post his F list. He should have done that.
He did not post his F list. So, technically, this should have never worked, but because he's a YouTuber and he's done all this to show the process of how to get there, and because because of how people use TikTok, it's extremely easy to be able to build as long as you are pandering to the right kinds of people. And furries, considering the way that they vote politically, which usually tends to be down ballot Democrats, especially the most furthest of the far left, they go to these events and they vet people specifically so that they can know if they can talk about all the other shit that they do. So, you've got the kind of furries that are extremely far left, that are actually Antifa members. And then they congregate around other people who do illicit and illegal actions. Why would they ever interact with an account like this if they're not specifically going there to see if they can link up with him because he's hot and they happen to live in his city, since he's clearly posting with his location on? It invites the negative element that you would not want to have if you're getting into it as a person who's never been known before. Sure, you can show up in the suit. Sure, you can even have parts of the suit on and then talk about or show off for the camera. But someone is going to clock you, and they're going to do the equivalent of a G-check. They're going to gangster check you. They're going to see if you're down, and if you're not DTF and you're super uncomfortable, they're going to tell that you're not a furry. Because if there's one thing about furries that everybody needs to understand and know, most of them that are extremely comfortable with being DTF themselves, they're going to touch you like their name is Momo-kun. They're going to put their hands all over you.
They do the scritching. Well, that's like old school furry. They like scritch and paw at you.
Yep. We're talking full two-spirit. I'm going to scratch you behind the ears and then them pantomiming their foot tapping on the ground.
Also started getting a lot of haters.
Stop hating on furry.
I communicated with my fellow furries.
Hey cutie, love the videos.
I'm not allowed near schools.
Hey Sigma, just wanted to let you know I saw your recent video about that pig's head.
Whoever sent me the severed pig head, fuck you.
Don't let them get to you, buddy. They don't deserve you.
Thank you so much.
I live streamed a couple times.
They you coming straight to my live Daniel. I'll f on your bitch and my sandals.
Now, although I reached 1,000 followers on the Sigma Paws TikTok, it's not like exactly where I
I
wanted
think
Sigma
that's
Paws
AI
to be
art.
going into the
If that is,
convention.
that's
That being
funny.
said, I got posted on cringe subreddits all the time.
Is Cody Co a top or a bottom?
This, effectively, is the reason why he went to go do what he did. If there's one thing that is clear when it comes to furries, as we know, because we have one of our own here that loves to torture us with furry content, horror. Not that she is a furry, I'm saying she tortures us with things that furries do, as we all know.
Yeah.
People are going to lock on and make fun of furries simply because of the nature of them being an alternative lifestyle choice. It will always happen.
Obviously.
I have more money than you. Get up.
DTY? I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be DTF for down to fuck.
No, I think it's down to yiff. That's what he's saying.
Oh.
We,
so yes.
We've forgotten about the term yiff.
Yif is the furry term that they use for saying that they're down to fuck, the same way that the bronies use clopping for masturbation and sex content.
Yeah.
I didn't figure that yiffing was important because we hadn't gotten there yet, naturally.
Well, Yif has kind of fallen out of the lexicon of furries these days.
Laga, you have a mic reverb. But yeah, I was going to get there with the terminology when it came up naturally. Just didn't do it yet. It's fine.
If they had good money, they wouldn't have such an ugly fursuit, lol.
I'm really starting to get a feel for the furry community.
So after spending 200 days as Sigma Paws, I took a 7-hour drive up to the furry convention. But I wouldn't be arriving without a plan. Starting with suiting up, I have 2 special guests that also need fursuits, so I gotta get them fursuits. Then after that, attending events. I don't want to immediately, put my neck out there. I want to go to like dances and panels and stuff like that. After that, I'm gonna start marketing directly. I have a couple funny ideas prepared, and then hopefully that leads to me getting into a party. That's not the final step, though. The final step, STD test.
Step 1.
I had 2 people helping me with this whole thing. Number 1, YouTuber Ben of the Week, and more importantly, my cameraman, Travis.
If you guys are going to come to this convention, you guys need outfits. So I've prepared a bunch for you guys, and I'll let you pick. So yeah, this is the first one. Ta-da! Garfield costume. This one's a good one.
Dog. Is that rat like the Germa rat?
I don't
By the way,
know.
also, if we do anything embarrassing,
It looks like the Germa rat.
His name is
I don't
Travis.
know.
His name is Travis. His name is
After Ben got into his fursuit and donned the name Dragon D's, we were ready to go.
That is not a fursuit.
That's a.
That is a Halloween costume you get at Party City.
I was gonna say it's a kigurumi type of fursuit.
The main thing about being a furry is that you don't want people to see your face. It defeats the purpose.
I know, but something a friend told me, and I didn't know this previously, is that there are furries who go to anime conventions, but they don't want to go in the full fursuit because it'll bring them attention, like negative attention. So instead, they wear the kigurumis to kind of signal to other people that they're furries.
Okay.
I mean, does it sound too weird, or?
No. For my channel?
Travis?
Wait. Before I even got to the convention, I started making friends.
What's your guys' names? Drewski. Quali. Drewski, Quali, nice to meet you. I'm Sigma.
Although initially surprised to meet famous comedian Drewski at a furry convention, I quickly became his friend. I was afraid my cheap-looking fursuit would scare people away, but being around Ben was actually a blessing in disguise because his fursuit sucked. Anyways, before we got into some of the meat of the convention, we found ourselves enjoying some of the fantastic events, like Furry Parade!
I've seen one of these.
They do literally have furry parades. I'm actually upset about this because they're copying Louisiana tradition of the second line. I have no comment. I'm seething in the corner.
The furry parade I saw was like in Norway, or I think not Norway, but probably Sweden. And they didn't have a band, but they just had a whole event where all the furries are being filmed walking across a bridge to the other side, and everybody kind of like cheers and dances with their fursuit on.
It's like basic fucking student life shit that you expect out of high school and college.
I have a take for it. They're kuyons for doing that.
3,000 people at this event, and that made me feel good about my odds of getting into a furry party. Sword fighting!
Careful, don't hit hard.
Yeah. What is wrong with you?
We did a bunch of activities like this. We were at this convention for 3 days, by the way. The first real step I wanted to take was to interview people and ask them if they knew about these parties. But you could only interview people at this con if you had a press pass, which, like, how was I supposed to get a press pass?
I got hired to run the Furry of the Week section of furryweekly.com.
So honestly, I might just go ahead and invite you to join the
Oh,
team.
Lil
no.
Uzi or Playboy Cardi?
What?
Lil Uzi or Playboy Cardi?
I don't know what those really
Are you into the fun side of the furry community? Or are you more?
Now that right there, that's a furry.
Con if
That's
you had a
an
press
old
pass,
school
which, like,
furry.
how was I supposed to get a press
I got hired to run the Furry of the Week section of furryweekly.com.
So honestly, I might just go ahead and
And he's got the, you can hear it in the voice. Physiognomy never fails, chat. Physiognomy never fails. Racism max today.
Racism. He's a furry.
Playboy card.
And that right there, that's a text every character, okay? I don't care what the fuck you tell. We're back. From the abyss. We synced.
So was that actual padding there, or is he just a little bit pudgy?
No, he's fat. He's fat,
No,
and he's
he's
wearing a costume on top of it.
He's a big boy. Like, there's furries who like that.
They're already trying to take me down, chat. They're already trying to take me down. Okay, back up on Twitch.
All right.
Cardi.
What?
Lil Uzi or Playboy Cardi?
I don't know what those really
Are you into the fun side of the furry community, or are you more into the dark side of the furry community?
The fun side, of course.
Yeah.
I wasn't really getting anywhere, and this guy started speaking in Chinese.
Now that tutorial was actually super
Are
good.
you into the fun side of the furry community, or are you more into the dark side of the furry community?
He even has his own. He even has his own custom badge. It's a wrap. This man is a frequent flyer.
Side, of course.
Yeah.
I wasn't really
That is a really well designed tutorial.
getting anywhere, and this guy started.
That's pretty much what your standard fursuit's gonna look like. You really only need to have a body cover. If you have arm extenders for your forearms, that's fine too. Technically, the minimum you would have to have is feet, glove, something to cover the skin of your arm, and then a head mask with obvious mascot heading.
Speaking in
And a
Chinese.
tail.
And I was about to quit until I heard this.
My friends are hosting a little party this weekend. It's going to be a blast.
Oh, really?
Party
furry
to your
party?
purple.
Not anything NSFW.
Okay. Do a lot of people here do
I
that?
think it's at every furry convention if you look for it.
She thinks it's at every furry convention if you look for it. So now it was time to look for it. Now the first plan was to go into the expo hall and talk to people who looked like they would be attending these furry parties.
I can tell you right.
hell no.
I can tell you right now, it is never the people that you suspect it to be. Okay, the girl with her
Yep.
titties out with the risque cosplay that may or may not be a poodle, they're not going to be the ones you go to. The one that you're going to look for, any person who's been here whenever Marcus and friends are playing cover up slut, it's going to be a black guy. He's going to look like close to, but not exactly like me. He's either going to be really sweaty, or he's going to be just there, vibing in the environment, completely unplussed by everything he's witnessing. He'll probably be randomly in the background, taking pictures of everything. That nigga. That's who you want to go to. Even if they... Yes.
There's not a lot of black people I see usually at these conventions. It's like...
one day I'm gonna have Marcus, because I'm pretty sure you've been here when we played it a couple times. We're gonna have Marcus bring up some of his old cover-up slut videos from some of the more 18 plus oriented events, or the ones with public events, like for AWA, and I will point out to you the black men that I'm talking about.
I was like, I think I did see one in a video that I saw, but at furry conventions it's a little different. It's like,
believe me when I tell you, I'm gonna hold your hand. I know, because I've been there and was that guy at one point in time. There is always a black man. There is always a black gooner. He is the elder goon. His job is to literally make sure everything is going according to fucking plan. There is one thing that will only allow events like this to happen. It is coordination and organization. And niggas love punctuality. They'll be late to everything else. But when ass is involved, we're on white people time.
Sigma Chan, would you want to buy me the Night Terror blanket tapestry for $200?
Yeah, I'll buy it.
Okay.
Now, I didn't find any leads there, and it was probably in part because I had a giant camera following me, but I did find a bunch of furry smut magazines. Now, the weird part about this is that this is completely in the center of the expo hall. Like, you could just wander in here if you're like an 8-year-old, a 9-year-old, a 10-year-old.
Right
there was
there.
literally like 100 of these booths, and there was even stuff written by a guy named Sigma. And they didn't even check for my ID when I purchased it.
A little higher.
I purchased it.
Oh, it's a femboy. It was a guy.
it was a guy.
Now, if I did not have the rule for myself when it comes to content that I premiere, that I don't try to pre-watch it, this could have been the thumbnail. Get a little magazine spread. Get the double point. It's whatever. It's whatever. But yeah, the same way that you can find H hentai, and the same way that you can find Era and Eroge, they just they just sell them. They just sell them publicly. Sometimes they can be as cheap as $5. Sometimes they're bringing them away for free. And sometimes somebody has a master etched sketchbook, like the fucking Masterworks for Legend of Zelda for the Hyrule Historia, as a hardback for like $150. And it's a full collection of a whole collection. A full collection of a whole collection of like either collation issues from normal paperbacks, you know, flimsies, or it's a giant book collection of like historically everything they've had at either the event specially or that they've done in some other capacity somewhere else as a part of another syndication. So the guy that he's going there as a journalist on behalf of, they will collect these things the same way that you collect comic strips, and they will sell their best material, their best performing pictures. It's just the same way how you could have a print be sold by a not safe for work artist that's at a convention that is premiering their works.
Yeah.
It was a guy. The next place I was going to look for people was going to be at these furry dance competitions. There's 2 dance competitions. There's the freestyle dance competition, and then there's the actual dance competition. Now, for the actual dance competition, I prepared a full choreographed dance as well as my own song. I submitted a video.
Neither of these is how you're going to find the person who's going to give you the connection to the sex tourism. What you actually want to do, and you'll want to do this at every single one, you literally want to go to the rave. Most of these conventions, if they have not done away with them because of COVID, there is always going to be a electric forest rave. You want to look for, again, the Elder Goon or the e-girls that are the missing link between the cover-up sluts and the OnlyFans model. And it's called a scene kid. Scene kids are a very specific subsection of
They're little candy ravers. They love it. They've been doing this since 2007, which is funny because like when I went to OniCon, which is like in Galveston, I've had a lot of people trying to invite me to the rave because I wore like a little colorful hat, and I'm like, he's like, "Are you going to the rave? We need to see you at the rave." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'll go."
Yes, Juan. Scene kids. Have you never met a scene kid?
I went to school with some.
Well, I'm asking somebody in the chat. I have to go to Instagram.
Do you think it's trying to make a comeback?
If people like Cindy Paola do her job, it will. But okay. A scene kid is a special alternative lifestyle choice when it comes to raving. There are many styles, but there is only one acceptable style when you get down to brass tacks. Okay? Now, there is only one quintessential style. Yes, Cosmic, of course I am! There is only one quintessential style that is acceptable. And that is full pastel glitter. Get this up here. So, on Instagram, you will maybe find 1 or 2 handfuls for every 500 e-girls. But there is one specific one, and that is the one I'm going to show you. I'm on the wrong screen. And that is the one that I'm going to show you. Her name is Cindy Paola, but she is better known as Snow Fox. This girl, and girls like her, literally weigh 90 pounds wet and wear shit that will make you blush. They've become a little risque over time, but we're looking for the quintessential type. They're a bit twee. Of course, they live in the place you expect them to live. finding them in their natural gear and their natural habitat is like walking up on a clown girl. For anybody who knows about Bouncy Clown and knows what she looks like in and out of makeup, it's a good example. But I probably have to scroll for a while to find some of her best. Here's one of the better versions of the outfit. What classifies and denotes a scene girl is the following. 1. Risque, yet tactfully covering clothing. 2. Netting underlayer. 3. Bright, vibrant colors. An inviting personality for 4. And 5. A suspiciously high tolerance for multiple kinds of drugs. Now you'll see plenty of girls that will look like this for Halloween, and they're just going out and they're just being the sexy version of whatever it is that they're going as. Actual scene kids, actual scene party girls, and guys, they do exist, but it's less likely for you to find a guy than it is for you to find a girl. I unironically, there's a lot more furry women and a lot more scene girls than there are furry guys per capita that are out and actually go to events than there are in general people in the populace. For every one sex fiend to every one furry, there's like 1.5 scene girl and 1.5 e-girl who also happens to be a furry who does go out and party. If they don't look like this, or any variation of her outfits, I'm just going to let this go on an auto scroll. If they don't look like this one here is also another good example. Again, their outfits will make you feel uncomfortable and also eye-shocked because they're extremely attractive. Even the plus-size ones. This is another one. She's covered up with pasties. This is also fine. If they are anything close to any of these outfits, and they have the attitude to exist, these ones here, also a perfect example. This is actually what I would say is quintessentially the scene kid. So basically, what happened when they had to pick between Lady Gaga and Taylor Swift, the ones that decided to go in the direction of like Panic at the Disco, you're looking for those ones. The ones that before, Brendan Urie ruined his brand and his voice. You're looking for those ones. That is what you want. Those are the people you go to find these events. What he's doing would have never fucking worked. But I rest.
Video as to what my dance was going to be to the judges, and they said I didn't even have to come to the preliminaries.
My entire life I was bullied. Nobody loved me for who I was, so I became somebody that I wasn't. And it's taken me a long time to become the person that I am now.
I knew that if I won the finals for something like this, I would get into a free party. So to prepare, I decided to join the freestyle dance battle. And maybe if I won this, people would also want to get naked with me, I think. Jokes aside, this dance battle would go from the most impressive dancer of all time to exactly the type of person that you're thinking of right now.
You were bad,
Awesome.
Sigma Paws doesn't know how to actually dance, but he can do a bunch of Magic Mike stuff. And against all odds, he actually made it to the finals.
11.
This victory was short-lived, however.
You didn't know that becoming a furry was like electric surgery. Well,
no, it's not.
Well, it's not, but let me ask you one. When you get into an alternative lifestyle, do you just expect there not to be rules, circumstances, and limitations and restrictions not only upon your own behavior, but others, to ensure that people remain safe in a place where they already feel out of their shell?
Well, yeah, it's sort of like a religious type of deal. I mean, a lot of people consider Christianity, especially like the fundamentalist types, to be a lifestyle rather than a religion. So yeah, they would be like that.
Exactly. They have their same denominations, they have their same traditions, they have their same rules. Gatekeeping is necessary. What did I say before we started this? They are already bullied enough. From niggas that would never care to even take the time to do what he's currently doing. Even if he doesn't get fucked by the end of it, because there is a follow-up to this, chat. Even if he does not get fucked by the end of this, the entire point is to see how the other half lives. If people actually took the time to understand them, we wouldn't have so much friction. The furries would be on our side. For as left-leaning as they are, They are fiscally conservative. How else do you think they buy the suits? How do you think they get their money? You know, for the ones that aren't doing drugs and having sex to do it. They're suspiciously wealthy because they have blue-collar working-class jobs. It could be your neighbor. It could be the Fortune 500 company middle manager.
I thought it was like because a lot of them work in like tech fields.
I'm
and
getting
that's why
there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, Carl.
They can be your middle class HR executive. They could be the fucking technician, the electrician, the carpenter, the masonry, the acetylene welder and cutter, the HR tech specifically meant to operate one machine in a factory. They can span all social classes, all racial divides, but specifically operate within the middle to upper middle class position. Because you see, if they were able to just save their money, they could just simply be wealthy as fuck, because then they play the stock market too. But it is what it is. What was that?
Sorry. I did find a couple pictures of what you were talking about, and I found a diverse group of rave girls, scene girls. I put them in the Versus chat.
That's exactly what they're. Now these ones, these are less pastels. These are cyber goths. See, you can tell that they're cyber goths because when they wear their fishnets, the girl on the right here, while wearing the appropriate pasties, everything that she has is specialized to direct your attention to her body and not to the overall design of the outfit. Her friend's is the same, but is a lot more covered up, and she's wearing silver leggings, which is to make her outfit more interesting through the color on the fur with the leg warmers. Hers is specifically cybergoth because of the hair extensions, the accentivization on neon color, specifically neon green, to bring your attention to the parts of her body, like her womb tattoo, the fact that she's wearing a, let's call it a coochie tape, a pasty, and the fact that they're trying to cover mostly their mouth and not their overall body aesthetic. Basically, cybergoths are going to go more in the direction of being somewhere near the RAR XD, and I literally just put on stuff and I thought that this would look cool.
I thought that like cybergoths they use more electronics like lights and
this is one that's
like wiring.
This is one that's clearly dressing to be comfortable, because really a cybergoth would be wearing more leather. Leather ain't cheap, girl. It should make you sweat.
I know.
And
But I
then,
did have the other picture.
I mean, these are just different women of alternative lifestyles. You maybe have some goths, some pretty girls that are just dressed up for the event. The black girl's alternative. This is all a flavor for people who are interested to look. Anyways, moving on.
However, because I got my ass kicked by somebody in a rat tail. It was a very humbling experience to get my ass kicked by somebody in a rat tail.
Imagine you lose the crumping event to the guy in the rat tail, and he tells you that his name is Moss Radis. Imagine losing a dance battle to Moss Radis, and then he starts fucking the plus-size woman that you were about to go rizz up.
He's like, "Oh, baby, call me after the show."
I have witnessed a person actively get rizzed out by somebody else, and then them brag when they took that girl back to the hotel room. Fucking lanky-ass Asian. And he's in there with a woman 3 times his weight class, handling her. Furries are very comfortable with doing shit like this.
He's like, "Meet me at the hotel room."
All my plans to prove the existence of furry parties were failing. At this point, I lost pretty much all hope. But I still had an ace up my sleeve.
I'd been making tons of friends throughout the convention and DMing them constantly. And I was getting hit on a decent amount, so I thought one of these would lead into a furry party.
However, I had a bit, a really dumb bit that I thought was funny.
Business cards.
Printed these on Staples?
Yeah, I had to walk in.
What the fuck?
Yeah, phone number on the back too. And then if that doesn't work, we throw our own.
Oh my fucking god!
And so I got pebbles.
I can tell you right now, if you try to invite people to a party like this by going to the event and bragging about it, because this would be seen as bragging, they're not going to go, and they're actively going to keep the card so that they can tell people, because the way that they actually do it now is that they do it through Telegram. They're going to take a picture of what you're doing, and they're going to actively tell people to not go. Gatekeeping. Gatekeeping.
Yeah, because that's bad behavior.
I had printed 250 of each of these cards, and my plan was to distribute them throughout the convention. When I found somebody that I thought would fit the bill of being in these furry parties, I was just going to give it to them and be like, hey, let me know. But I put one down on a random table at the convention, kind of as a joke.
I received an invite.
What have you done?
My heart's beating. That's really crazy. It's not the only thing that's gonna be beating.
This may look like the face of a happy person, but it's actually the face of a man about to have a face full of fur. Naked fur. And this is Travis's finger because he doesn't know how to use the camera.
All right, let's go. Wait, what are we? Wait, Anthony, don't.
And just like that, I was added.
It's real.
To the chat.
It's actually.
So that is more or less how it works. You're talking about eyes wide shut type shit. I'm pretty sure that they would not just use this on the phone. They would send you to a alternative app. When it was pre-COVID times, in the before times, what would happen is they'd send you a Snapchat. They would then add you to a group Snapchat, because Snapchat and other tools like it give you the ability to know if someone is taking a screenshot of things in the chat room. You see, they invite you to the chat room. They tell you where to go. They tell you the code word, the password, who to look for, the chauffeur, the Chiron, as it were. You get escorted by the person who's going to be supervising the event, either because they're the one that paid for the hotel room in their name, or it is a home or a Airbnb that has been rented out to them in their name. And then you go from there. Nowadays, I'm pretty sure they would go with the not abandoned location choice. Because ironically enough, what used to happen, especially if you have a city that has historical districts and buildings full of decrepit, locked up shit with no businesses that are frequenting there, especially in places that are close to the ghetto, but they're not actually the ghetto, people would just host these in empty stores and abandoned locations that had been bombed out or burned out. Put down black tarp, put down black bag, it's not plastic material. It's not quite tarpy material. Linnell probably knows what the fuck I'm talking about. Full blackout. Try to soundproof it as best as you can. Know when you're going to have it from here to here. Stock the food. Stock the drink. Stock the protection. 4 lookouts on each exit of the building. No way in from the back door. The only way you get in is from the front. Once you're inside, you stay inside. If you get bored or annoyed, make sure that you make clear that you're not involved in the direct activities of the party. Basically, treat this shit like a Sadie Hawkins dance. Because if you don't, someone will put a dick in your mouth. Or they'll stick their ass in your face. One of the two.
Sounds scary.
Well, by being invited and being at the event, that is already a sign of consent. Nowadays, what would actually happen is that they're probably going to have a little pen or a little card, some kind of signifier. Back, way back in the before days, when they were doing this shit while they were in high school, it was the wristbands, you see. That's why the schools banned them. It was coding. A certain color said what you were down for and what you were accepting and what you were in for.
I thought that was like a fucking urban myth.
No. No. Wristbands, buttons, pins, stickers, a unique signifier designed specifically for that group that is their call sign for a party that has been specifically hosted by them officially, as well as anything else that you could think of. A band for if you're single. A band for if you're taken and the person doesn't know you're at this event. A band for if you are husband or wife swapping and are a swinger and they are at the event. A band for if your sexual status and or your identity status is confused and or complicated. A band for a person that must be worn at all times, that denotes that it's your first time, and that people should be gentle with you. And more. The same way that you would have swingers that go to their swinger parties, and the swinger symbol is the upside down pineapple, you have the same signifiers and the same gatekeeping tools used to protect for these events. Why would I lie to you for content?
I don't think you're lying. It's just that, like, I remember my mom telling me, like, don't wear those jelly bracelets at school because people are trying to fuck you. I'm like, I'm just wearing this as a fashion trend.
I mean, the kids picked it up as a fashion trend, but where do you think the kids got the idea from? From the older
college kids.
From the older kids that were graduating out who had gone to them and done them. I mean, shit. Do you remember the version of this where the girls would wear specific lipstick colors, and they would mark?
No.
Okay, so there is a tradition where girls, especially in middle schools and in high schools, and some sororities do this when they're having rush week, as a very horrible hazing strategy. When you're talking about certain fraternities like Qs and Sigmas, where they will be given a lipstick color, and at the lipstick party, they're gonna go up to a guy, and they're going to noticeably kiss them with this nice staining oil-based lipstick, and each girl that has marked a guy is gonna get to have time with them. So let's say there are 10 guys and there are 5 girls. And all 5 girls have marked some of the guys multiple times. 4 girls have marked one guy. 1 girl has marked maybe 4 guys differently. They basically are doing an advanced form of 7 Minutes in Heaven. But they ain't just kissing in the closet. And it's not a closet. It's like the kind of sex work that porn stars like Oasis used to be known for. For people who don't know the context, Oasis was a well-known porn star that specialized in gonzo exhibitionism. She has probably long since retired and given up the mantle to a younger, newer OF model type girl. But she was known for living in Lake Havasu, Nevada, and she would go to places like Mardi Gras or go to events that were in Paradise Falls or in Las Vegas proper, and she would just basically have sex with anybody. So the whole brand of step fantasy or public POV fantasy shit, she, alongside, and I'm not joking, this is the woman's name, Cream Pie Kathy, were known as the go-to women that specialized in these types of swinger events.
Oh.
Now, the content that was known for doing this has long since been scrubbed off of places like Pornhub. But if you were to go to sites like XHamster or XNXX, you could go find it. I am not promoting this to you. I am simply telling you what is a historical fact of actual sex work on the internet. Because ironically enough, the people who go to these things, especially if they're going there specifically to promote themselves, you will find some of these e-girls that are frequently promoting themselves on Twitter. You will find them at these events, because you will be surprised how many of them are furries, or actually have furry connections. Any hole's a goal.
I mean, I was told that, like, there's no furries that are straight. It's like everybody's like some kind of a variant of LGBT.
Well, everyone's straight like a noodle until they get a little wet.
Come on, man.
Well, there is...
No one cares that Nori.
That is a lie. Of course that is a lie. Or, I would say it's more likely that when it comes to these events, if you're going there, you're probably going to put your toe in the deep end, the very, very, very big, very, very, very big deep end. But there are probably some of the more debaucherous ones that they are commonly going to have crossover with the LGBT, because gay pride, hashtag TM traits narc, because it's too long to say the fucking acronym. Gay pride with furrydom is common because of the fact that they also get ostracized for similar things. Even if it's people that have gone to a place, that have all gotten their tests, and it's literally people who are out and known, they're still going to get harassed the same way. If you were to find out that there was a gay pride event, where there were members of that gay pride event that were taking part in an orgy that was put away from the public, no kids were involved, they did all the gatekeeping and all the checksums to make sure only people who were supposed to be there, do you think that you would still have people treating them any differently than they would the furries? The obvious answer is no. While there are straight furries, because they're just a case of Oninkiden, you're probably going to hear more about the most debaucherous ones, because ain't nobody looking for the normal people. Because they deal with the same problems that the normal people in gay pride are going to deal with. You don't ever hear about the ones that are normal, who keep to themselves, and the only way you hear about it is if they tell you and you ask them questions and they give you legitimate, straightforward answers. You're only ever going to hear about the debauchery, which gives them a bad rap. And that's why they gatekeep. Anyways, moving forward.
100% real. This must be what Oppenheimer felt like when he discovered the nuclear bomb. Joke business cards. Like, this wasn't supposed to be real. This was fake. It was done. It was a stupid bit.
That one business card got me invited to 5 furry parties. So now I had a decision to make as a grown adult. Do I get naked with a bunch of furries and let them explore my body? The party I decided on had 11 people in the group chat, ranging from 45 to 19 to gun furries.
That's so lit.
What the fuck? And now I can't really show a lot.
I couldn't even see that fucking picture on this goddamn phone. That's so goddamn small.
Of this on YouTube. In fact, I'm pretty sure this video is demonetized already. So please like it and comment.
Please fuck. Also, please fuck.
He just posted his full cock in the chat, okay?
Holy shit, we cuddle so much. Here's a photo of my wiener.
If everyone's alright with it, I wouldn't mind recording a few parts too.
Thinking about pretty boys, I'm painfully attracted to certain Minecraft content creators.
Paul Jacobs, Ranboo, Blackie, Toto.
And a huge outlier, Schlatt. Oh, and Charlie Slimesicle. Broke out the whole roster, broke out the whole roster, broke out the whole...
Yo, Minecraft YouTubers, I'm gonna be thinking about you tonight on my journey.
There was still a decent amount of time until the furry party, so we went to a panel on how to be an influencer.
So raise your paws, hands, if you are on TikTok.
I don't care. I be speaking fucking Spanish. Me gusta el helado. Hold up. That means I like ice cream. Hold up. I'm with your girlie and she scream. Hold up.
Ben didn't take it very seriously though. He faked getting swatted.
Someone called in to like the police saying that I was like creating like C4 explosives.
And I used the opportunity to dox my cameraman as much as I could.
I work on Wall Street and I do some like social media stuff on the side. Travis, he's my friend. Travis says that. Travis said like that's what. I don't want to speak too much on behalf of you, but yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. That was like a deeply.
T-minus 2 hours until the furry party.
That's
I
a funny
had
bit.
a decision to make.
That's a funny bit, but please don't dox your friends in the pursuit of trying to get ass at a furry party. Please don't do that. They will probably just outright reject you because they're going to not take it as a joke. Despite beliefs, furries are not stupid people who lack social experience. If anything, they either go one of two ways. They are either hyper aware of social circumstances or they are fucking paranoid.
So funny. I got invited to one.
Oh my god, Anthony.
Is that your mama?
But I have to go.
I want to see the video.
Huh? What?
Just like, maybe like somebody's ass from behind.
Hey, yo! Why your mama down like that? Assuming that it is your mama.
This woman ain't normal.
I wanted this, and I'm like, oh, fuck. You know what I mean?
You're gonna get 8.
That's what happens every time. You think, haha, I'm ready for this, and then when you've got the plus size girl in front of you that's about to fucking pull your shit out and fucking splay you on the bed like you are in, what was that fucking film? It was a fat black girl and then a white guy, a lanky white guy. This is like mid-2000s movie. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Am I thinking of Eurotrip?
I do not know.
I swear I'm thinking of Eurotrip. But white lanky guy hitting up this thick black woman in a film. Then he lays the shit out. I'm probably thinking about either Euro trip or road trip. I'm probably thinking of road trip. But anyways, you're there in the moment. You're joking, you're laughing. But then you get your shit pulled out. And then you have to wonder, haha, this actually started as a joke, but I think I might like this. Normal reaction.
HIV and a furry.
Why are you gonna cry, horror?
Don't cry, horror.
Nice.
We're here for you.
Whoa, it's getting steamy in here. Ah! What? What's that? Man of the week and wanna join? Okay.
What? I'm not even. Dude, Sigma Paws has come so far. Think about it like this: purchase the worst fursuit head of all time, and then get invited to a huge furry, win a dance competition.
He didn't.
Gonna win tomorrow.
You're right. I forgot.
And with only about 30 minutes until the party, I was having a mental breakdown. Even role-playing didn't make me feel any better.
I'll see you guys on the other side. He's getting molested.
The first thing I attended was a no-clothes party, for lack of a better term. Now, I begrudgingly went to the hotel room where this was happening. The hotel room that is, by the way, in the exact same hotel as the convention itself, and was immediately greeted with a big schlong.
Hi. Is this good news for you guys?
Literally, I just told them...
Well, if you think about it, if he actually posts pictures of the people that he was involved with any more than he has already demonstrated through putting this content out, they would actually be fully within their rights to come after him.
I know, but it's just really goofy, like Animal Crossing specifically. Like,
I mean, is it any different than what Nora did in her video when she wanted to talk about the fucking mythos of Sleeping Beauty? She's just interjecting something for visual experience.
My name was Sigma, and they said I could enter as long as I took my clothes off. Now, I had a choice here. Do I commit to the bit and get naked with a bunch of furries, or do I say, I did it, I proved the existence of these things, I can leave now? Of course I left. No, I'm just kidding, I got naked.
And that is why you don't hear about them. Right there. Classic gatekeeping. And truly, another man's N-word, F-word check. Very few people are going to do this. I need to go out of the room in a second. Very few people are going to do this, where they're going to get involved enough that they're going to go to the room, they're going to take off their clothes, and they're going to participate. Because how many people are really about that life? It's not shocking. It's not surprising. Alright, I'll be right back. Well, because you want to take it slow. Take it slow. Don't you want to take it slow? What? Okay, let's proceed.
Hey. I got the inversion of Telegram. What's your name? You can call me Sigma.
Everyone is completely naked. There's maybe 2 people in their fursuits. So I like awkwardly get directly in the center of the bed. And I'm sandwiched in between like 4 people on either side. And I am naked, by the way. So this is already like way past what I was expecting to do.
Everybody was just petting each other and talking. It was actually kind of wholesome, if you remove all of the context.
But then the person sitting next to me mentioned that there was a bona fide furry party happening the floor above us. I took the person up on their offer and went to the bona fide furry party. So I make my way upstairs with this like random person that I had just met. I was pretty nervous that what I was going to see next was going to permanently be etched into my brain. There was a guy who I can only describe as like Discord mod, who was kind of like the head honcho in this whole thing. He greeted us and was basically like, hey, let's do this thing. And we walk into the room.
There's the largest person I've ever seen in my entire life. He's like 8 feet tall and he's in a black bear fursuit. There's a person straddled to his leg in underwear, thrusting.
After I got into my underwear, I joined the fray.
I think this guy wants you to jump on him.
Which that leg? I just.
Oh no!
You believe in love?
I'd like to again apologize to my mom who's watching this video.
Now, I didn't want to go the full length with any of these furries, so I was kind of just waiting for the perfect opportunity to leave. So I pretended to get a call from my roommate and then just left. Seeing Ben after that hour and a half made me feel...
Why does the 8-foot guy being a bear make so much sense? Sometimes niggas like it big and tall. I don't know what to tell you, Juan.
Bears are tall.
Like I was deployed in Vietnam and I was getting to see my wife after returning home.
I just know it smelled f***ing crazy in there.
The only thing left to do now was to win the dance competition, but in the meantime, we went to a furry rave.
I love furries.
My favorite part of this whole journey was still yet to come. The grand finals for the dance competition that I was told I got an invite to. But before that, let me tell you what I think about furries after being a furry for so long. Most furries know that what they're doing is cringe, which in my head is like the first step towards not being cringe. It's just something that most of them enjoy, and a good chunk of furries also have some sort of neurodivergence.
I'm kind of on the spectrum, have what they call Asperger's, and this has been a great gateway for me.
Do you think a lot of people in the community face similar challenges?
Yes. In many cases of furry cons like this, it's easy for you to feel welcome.
I was an anti-furry before I joined the fandom. I made fun of furries. Furries were treating me better than my supposed friends.
Everyone here is just comfortable in their own skin, showing off who they are.
That's literally how it happens.
Cool. Making fun of people is fine, but bullying people is different. Like, I can recognize that furries are cringy and silly, but also recognize that it's a great community for people who aren't welcomed elsewhere to be. I'm dishing all this heat out, and I'm fully understanding that people are going to comment saying that I'm less hot Timothy Chalamet. I should have stayed off YouTube. My haircut sucks, my face sucks, and my nose is too big. I understand those things. I'll rate the furry community a solid 8 out of 10.
Now the only thing left to do was to win this dance competition, so I checked the list of finalists. I wasn't on it.
Rip.
That's crazy. What the fuck? I was the only person that made their own song, and I didn't get into the finals. And listen, I take losses with stride. I'm not gonna like crash the dance competition.
Crash the fucking dance.
I'm out. Pain. Don't crash competitions because you feel that it's funny. But yeah, pretty much exactly what I said. And pretty much exactly the point of any social group. The internet has a problem with deciding who's an acceptable target to always fuck with.
Oh, yeah.
There was a post on one of my shorts where, when it was cut from one of the VODs where we were looking at content that came from our resident cringe lord, Brian Mullins the Fox, somebody kept trying to tone police me to say that I can't call zoo sadists cringe because they thought that I was putting furries underneath the label of zoo sadists. I did indeed challenge that person to come talk about it on live, but that person did not challenge it, And I'm pretty sure they deleted their comment. Because that's how easy it is. Because, you know, somebody who is in fact a furry or is secretive about what they do in private is going to be like, bro, what do you have against furries? It's like if somebody were to randomly say, God damn it, I really hate black people. Hey, yo, what you got against black people? Oh, you know, I don't have problems against black people. I have problems against dweebs. It's the same shit. It's the same shit.
I'm going to ask that never happens again, although that was kind of funny to watch. That's a first.
I got what I wanted. Feel good, Sigma? I got what I wanted!
There's like 100 business cards left. I'm going to sell them over on anthpo.com. They're cheap, and I'll give you some exclusive content. Okay, mwah.
So, that's video 1. Let's move to video 2. Anybody have anything on their mind that's a burning question that they desperately need to ask?
He's not getting invited to these again, is he?
I don't know. We'll find out on the second video. Any particular thing you have to ask me?
I don't really have a question to ask, but it's more like,
You have something you want to say?
you know, I felt like I never really fit in with like a lot of the furries to begin with because like I like, you know, the art and stuff, but the way I approached it is from like less from the fetish angle, but more so for the like animation, like kind of appreciation. So I think I'm more aligned with like old school furries instead of the newer ones.
Mm-hmm. You're gonna have the same context, and you're gonna have the same dilemma and dynamic in any social group when it comes to being accepted for something that you find is embarrassing if it were to be publicly said about you.
It's like it's not the embarrassing angle. It's more like I don't mind that people like the fetish stuff. It's just that it's not my whole personality, and it's not the whole thing that I want to do with my stuff.
Mm.
And a lot of people don't know how to draw that line when it comes to that.
Many people don't know how to deal with that line, period. I have a question. How do you know all this, Carl? So, we're going to do a 1-2. Please throw up a 1 if you have been a follower or a person who has known of my content since before 2014. And if you have known about my content after 2020.
I found you probably after 2020.
Found you after 2020. Short Fat Otaku gave you a shout out.
I see a 2. I see a 2. I see what I'm going to consider a 2 from Lunel. I see another what I'm going to consider to be a 2. I'm going to see another I'm going to consider to be a 2. So, for the people who have no context, I used to do this thing called selling myself. And I also live in Georgia, and I live 2 hours away from Atlanta. Anybody who knows me from Day Longbone will probably have known her from when she first started talking to me, because I would actively talk about shit that I would do publicly on Twitter. I have experience. I indeed have the pass. I have the lifetime currency. I have the blacked card. Got it all. And even then, if I had not been involved with people like this by just simply navigating the circle and being able to act as the Elder Goon, I know this by paying attention. Because the same rules that exist for gatekeeping exist amongst all subcultures and all alternative lifestyles. We've got rules for being a gooner. We've got rules for being a furry. Not a furry myself. You have rules for being a alternative lifestyle goth of whatever background type you want to be. You've got rules about going to clubs. You've got rules about going to conventions for the purposes of sex tourism. You've got rules about how to handle yourself in certain places when those rules are in effect. You've got rules on how to handle yourself when you are acting on behalf of representation. If you can imagine if there'd be a rule about how to conduct yourself in someone's home or inside of a social function, like a church parish, there are rules that exist for these scenes. And knowing about them is as simple as choosing to do what he did and going there. But, and I'll talk about this as I get into your next question. Yes, I have first-hand experience. What he did here is the equivalent of a popular kid that goes to find out about how the other half lives, but they do it as the premise of a dare. Like, I dare you to hang out with the weird kid and find out about his hobbies, and over time, you're won over, but you didn't go there for the sheer curiosity of really getting to know them. You went there as a joke of, bro, it would be funny, and then you're gobsmacked on how surprised you are that, oh my god, I expected him to be a serial murderer, but the quiet kid actually has a rich inner life experience that I should actually come to understand, recognize, and appreciate. All of what that guy did, and what you're about to hear recontextualized in an even longer video, is probably the worst way that you could have gone about learning about anything that had to do with just sexual tourism, let alone learning about what it's like to be in a lifestyle furries. He would have literally been better off served if he had just gone there and said, I would rather learn and be welcome and commune with people who are trusted and known rather than go under deceitful, not altruistic, it's the other word. I'm forgetting what the word is. Under ulterior, there we go, under ulterior motives and interests. Because effectively, at the end of the day, not nefarious, it was there's the other word, ulterior, under ulterior purposes. Because at the end of the day, he is a YouTuber who's basically doing the bit. The bit being, look guys, look how cringe the furries are. Look, cringe, 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 cringe. Even if he comes at the end and he says, yeah, I rate them an 8 out of 10. They're not that bad. They're all right. What did he have to do to create the content? He went out of his way to basically besmirch and make fun of the idea of furries. He chose to present himself as a furry for over 200 days, monetizing their small niche for the purpose of setting them up for content. So, literally the exact same as I dare you to date that girl for $200, and then you having them say, God damn, bro, you're doing all this for a bet, and them being gobsmacked that you only chose to socially interact with them for the purposes of a bet. You then chose to try to make not just sexual interest. Granted, he wanted to simply prove that the parties existed so that he could stamp a proof on it. But if he were doing this in earnest, it's the equivalent of being surprised that your sexual potential partner lied to you to get you in bed. Do you think that you would be insulted and infuriated, let alone want to seek retribution for such a betrayal? I think you would. I think all of us would. So, that, as well as many other reasons, is why that video had to be brought up on the Internet Archive. Yes, that video was deleted. This is off the Internet Archive. I will show you. I have secrets. So, the video that was originally put up by Anthony Poe was published on May 15th of 2024. Boom. This is the window, this is the screen, this is its update on the Internet Archive. It was taken down. And Horror had a link and presented it to us. I'm pretty sure that it wasn't deleted by the content creator. I'm pretty sure it was taken down for other reasons, for the content that was exposed in the video.
Yeah, probably like breach of privacy.
Because at the end of the day, depending on where he was, it's a question that brings up the concern of whether or not it's a one-party or two-party consent state for recording. He did not choose to go with the bit of only ever having anything that exposed the person who clearly couldn't consent to a recording that was being made. As how else could he prove that he went to the party unless he had audio recording? He can't show you what the room looks like. This isn't Pornhub. But he has to record himself. And thus, by recording himself, he's already violated trust, as well as, like, maybe 2 to 5 different rules of Twitter, and maybe 15 different interpretations of the rule on YouTube. And so that can't have remained up forever. So, his life-changing experience mined down into 17 minutes and some odd seconds of content to entertain audience members, because at the time that the video was taken down, it had one... Actually, this is probably based on Internet Archive, actually. At the time of recording, I have no idea what it was. So, from the comment section, note, this is the original pre-apology 17-minute upload with the original description. Please do not harass anyone involved. It is here for archival purposes only. Update. Anthony is actively taking down all re-uploads on YouTube and other streaming platforms. Don't try to let him cover his actions up, and download a copy of his archive. I encourage everyone to go watch the following video watching after this one. And while you're here, help me archive lost/obscure furry media. When I quit Mr. Beast, the very first thing I did was buy a fursuit, and after 200 days, I got into a furry party. Thank you to Ben of the Week, Travis Blinked, Jeremy Thompson, Bryce CGI, and Will Lee. Bryce CGI did the 3D assistance, Will Lee did the compiling, Travis is obviously his cameraman, and Jeremy Thompson was the production guy.
Him being attached to Mr. Beast kind of makes it a little sussy.
I could care less about that. He had a link for original soundtrack, he had a link for his gear to his Anthony Poe bio site, and then a link to his Anthony Poe merch store. At least 2 favorites on the Internet Archive, and 1,006 something odd views. Under 200,000, but probably had a bunch of them. Yeah, this is Anthony Poe. This was a former Mr. Beast worker. So now, we will get into the follow-up.
Hey, cutie.
Which is, he pretended to be a furry, then it got worse. First thing is to brush my teeth. Just give me a second. I'll be right back. And now I need to change my shirt. I will be live when Monster Hunter drops at midnight. And I have to look my sporting best. I'm gonna wear the meme shirt. Yes. The slippy shirt. The slippy shirt. Alright. Let's begin. Brum. And now I gotta set this up on the other end. Boom, 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 and cover.
Imagine being so salty that you try to get the video taken down when people upload it.
More than likely, he tried to keep the VODs from being uploaded, literally to stop himself from having to deal with a potential lawsuit or any potential problems as backlash for his choice to do it. Because really, if you think about it, what the fuck makes you think that people are not going to look at you like you're an idiot when you chose to go out of your way to basically expose what is the equivalent of a secret ritual?
I was gonna say, like, why would you willingly record yourself doing gay ops? But you know,
it's less about the gay ops, because the gay ops is one factor of the insult to injury. The injury is you made people feel unsafe after they trusted you in their special circle, and in the choice of having the ability to do this, even if you had set out to make this content, you could have chosen when it was time to, quote, make the content, delete the entire fucking trial file. Throw away all the evidence, throw away all the work. But no, as he said, I got what I wanted. He wanted to have his dance competition. He wanted to have his moments of exposing the content. He wanted to yuck it the fuck up while shitting on a group of people that have already been shit on way too fucking much. Whether or not you want to hate them and you think they're cringe, he did the equivalent of lying to sleep with a girl. Then, the injury was after doing that, trying to remove the evidence that he is apologetic for having done so. That's the biggest sin there. I could care less about him doing the gay ops. Only because the gay ops is an after effect. He went out with malicious intent, he acted upon it, he capitalized it, he then used it to create money, and then is trying to hide what he did so that other people can't find out. That's the bigger sin. If there's something that the furries do not like, it is being given an Indian giver's apology. You already fucked them over, and they already deal with being fucked with way too goddamn much anyways. Why would you think that removing it is going to do justice? An apology doesn't do shit. What is a real apology is changed action, is changed behavior. And trying to take away the information and stop the information resource in this instance, when he has already done wrong, and if he's apologizing, don't you want people to know that you apologized? Legitimately? Him removing it is the actual injury and insult, or rather, the insult on top of the injury. You already harmed them by ruining their sense of security. Then, you further made it worse by making money off of it, and basically showing that you had duplicitous motions and thoughts while you were engaged with it. So, everything you did was not sincere, and the fact that they knew it was not sincere, and that you keep trying to take it down, that's so bad for you. Anyways.
Allowed near schools.
And this is where I realized this was going to be a problem. Sigma Paws is a furry TikToker with a deeply obnoxious persona. A lot of his videos are just of him dancing, which is fine, but then there's also the streak where he's constantly flexing. And I mean that
is the video muted?
and in that he really
Love the videos.
I'm not allowed near
it is muted on our end.
It's probably not synced to the right screen. Yep, it's probably not synced to the right screen.
Schools.
Yep, it was not synced to the right screen.
And this is where I realized this was going to be a problem. Sigma Paws is a furry TikToker with a deeply obnoxious persona. A lot of his videos are just of him dancing, which is fine, but then there's also the streak where he's constantly flexing, and I mean that both literally and in that he really wants you to know that he has a lot of money.
Yes, and that's what I was talking about earlier when I said he was making the fucking mistake.
Yeah, furries famously love it when you act like that. When he's not flexing, he's screaming about his anti-furry haters.
Stop hating on furries. I am flipping sick of it. All you guys do is comment hate on my TikTok.
Which he then defeats by flexing his wealth again.
I don't care. I have more money than you. Get a life.
There seems to be a through line where he puts a heavy emphasis on class and social status. He seems to think that he's above his haters because he's rich. On top of that, he has this strange series where he keeps discussing whether or not he thinks he can take various streamers in a fight.
Is Jinxie a pussy? But personally, I do not think Ludwig could beat me in a fight.
Where he for some reason feels the need to point out that they have more subscribers than him.
I don't think I amount to him in terms of subscribers. Do I think of him as lesser of a person because of this? Yes, but it's okay because he's probably making more money than I am.
Given this emphasis on hierarchy, I guess it's not surprising that he also has a music video where he treats women as disposable, vessels to be used for sex and then promptly discarded. And then there's this video where he speculates on a YouTuber's sexuality.
Is Coleco a top or a bottom? He is more of the submissive type. He allows other people to kind of walk over him in both literal terms and also sexual terms.
And another where he body shames a streamer?
I do think Queso is considered morbidly obese. That means he probably only has a couple good years ahead of him, and then he's gonna start facing some chronic health issues.
As the kids say these days, the vibes are fucking rancid. I feel like Sigma Pause could be summarized cleanly by this TikTok where he just starts screaming at his camera in the middle of a ski resort, making a huge scene so that he can pretend for the internet that he's being harassed all the time.
At the ski resort, he's making fun of me. I'm sick of it. I can do black diamonds. You can't. It's as simple as that.
This poor woman that was witness to this is just like, what are you doing? Why do you like this?
How are you? People are trying to have fun here.
He's loud, he's desperate for attention, but above all, he's not real. Oh, thank God he's not a real furry. He's just a character that Anthony Poe made up so he could claim that he went undercover as a furry for 200 days. Wait, isn't that worse? Sorry, I'm just trying to process this. So, you decided to pretend that you were a furry, and to you, that meant that you should be as annoying as possible. Like, when you called out those streamers, some of them featured your videos on their streams.
My whole life is being productive. You know, I have hobbies. He plays video games. So I would be the ever-living fan of him.
And that was the whole point, right? Because you wanted attention. But how many people were watching those popular streamers at the time? Hundreds of viewers?
I got posted on cringe subreddits all the time.
Is that really something to be proud of when it's not your reputation that's on the line? You wanted to spread the influence of Sigma Pause, but what about all those randos that you did successfully manage to reach? Are they going to realize this was all a bit months later? No, right? They're just going to think that that's what furries are. The intentionally incendiary caricature that they saw on a stream, which you made up as an outsider. Damn. All right, we haven't even made to the video yet. So.
Boom. Remember on the stream where I brought up the piece of content from our good friend of the channel, Pirate Software, about conversations and what happens when people decide to enter the room with those conversations? What Cody Co did there, or excuse me, what Anthony Poe did there, was specifically exactly the opposite of the positive thing that is meant for. He used his platform, he used his content, and he used his voice to paint a caricature of furries. And then did so for money, and has damaged them permanently because of his presentation of them. Because the way that he chose to present himself as a furry, to pick up clout, to circulate it all to work out for him for the material that he made, effectively destroyed the already bad public press that they already deal with. Which is why I gave the preamble before we had started watching to begin with. And this man is an actual furry. Not this man. This man. This man is an actual furry. And the comment section that we're going to go through when we get to the end of this video is full of furries. And their comments about what they thought about what he did here. The internet is a mistake. We were all mistakes. We all should have been swallowed.
The intentionally incendiary caricature that they saw on a stream, which you made up as an outsider. Damn. All right, we haven't even made to the video yet. So, Anthony Poe is a 22-year-old YouTuber that's been making videos since he was a teenager. Most of his videos have surpassed 1 million views, and several of them can single-handedly eclipse my entire 13-year career on YouTube. He's a big fish. I'm not going to pretend to be an Anth Poe scholar, but of the random sampling of videos that I checked, some of them are funny as shit.
And welcome to, I literally bought the cheapest piece of real estate on my entire college campus, but I'll be trying to make the most of the situation. I'm still working on the name.
Anthony apparently went on a year-long hiatus from his channel, only to suddenly return a couple weeks ago, teasing new content. A day later, he released a new video. I spent 200 days undercover as a furry. Reviews were mixed. Many seemed excited that their favorite boy was back, and even a lot of furries seemed happy to be featured in a popular video that does say some nice things about us. But then some darker questions began to bubble beneath the surface. Questions like, hey, why did you infiltrate a queer event under false pretenses? And why did you try to record gay men having sex for a YouTube video? But we'll get to all that. Admittedly, this video did get some positive buzz at times from furries. Anthony spends about a minute of its runtime saying that furries don't deserve the hate that they get, showing a couple of interviews that highlight people for whom the fandom has been a positive force in their lives. It's nice. But to be frank, ending on this note feels a bit like a strategic move. People don't tend to consume YouTube content very critically. In fact, you're lucky if they even look at the screen, or for that matter, stay in the same room that the video is playing in. So if you end your video with, wow, alright, furry's great, you can trick a lot of people into thinking that that's what the video is actually about. They might even share it with other furries, having not registered that the whole thing is a veritable minefield of homophobia. Whoops. The tension between these two extremes can be felt right out of the gate when Anthony's introducing the premise of the video. See if you can spot the overwhelming cognitive dissonance in this clip.
Everybody knows furries. They've been a laughing stock of the internet for the better part of 2 decades. It's always kind of bugged me a little bit. Are furries honestly that bad? That's not the main thing I want to talk about today. I want to talk about furry parties.
It's a lot, right? I'm just not sure how someone manages to write those two sentences back to back like that. He openly...
Actually, no. Let me finish. I'm not going to pause any of him. I'm going to let him finish.
He acknowledges that furries get a lot of abuse thrown their way, and that we don't deserve it, and then, without a second of hesitation, pivots to how he did all of this so his non-furry audience...
Fucking F, bro. Fucking F. So, it literally happened the second I said, imagine if I was white. Apparently, I'm not allowed to say that I was white, guys.
You're never white.
Imagine if I was white. And I specifically said, I would love to know what it's like to be a black man. So I'm finna go find me the fattest, thickest bitch on the street, and I'm gonna slap her on the ass. And that was what the content was for. It was not about making Black Lives Matter. It was not about trying to be a strong pillar of the community and promote black businesses, from the mid-level class to the mom and pop shop to the Instagram media hustler that would give me the mind's eye into the struggle of what it's like to be on the line of poverty, trying to make it out the hood for real. But instead, I've never understood what it's like to be around black people. So I've decided I'm going to go drive down to the hood and I'm going to go try and be swag. That's what he did. Also, I accidentally skipped over a question from the Twitch output. I don't want to explain what Zeus sadism is. What Zeus sadism is on the broadcast, type it into your Google browser and just look it up. And you're fine from there, bro.
Yes, Anthony. Everyone here is a furry, so it would...
He asked. I have to answer. I wasn't trying to ignore him.
Have to be a furry party. Okay, that was a bit petty of me. Honestly, I just have a bit of a pet peeve with this trend I've noticed in popular YouTube videos where the title implies they did something that was impressively high effort, only for the substance of the video to reveal that they didn't actually try very hard at all.
Going to a furry convention!
I really needed to immerse myself in this culture, right? I can't just show up to these conventions and then gain their trust as a non-furry.
Anthony wants us to think that he lived as a furry for 200 days, but if he did, this video basically features zero evidence of that. He doesn't mention going to any fur meets, nor did he seemingly attend a furry night at a gay club. There's no footage of VrChat. In fact, I think it's pretty damning that he doesn't even mention a single furry that he ever met before going to the convention in his 200-day experiment.
Yes, thank you, Cosmic Panda. We have found the film.
As far as I can tell, he just filmed some TikToks in his home and then went to a ski slope once, which he cuts to over and over again because he has so little evidence of his 200-day experiment. Did you make a single furry friend in those 200 days, Anthony? What do you think the word community means? You don't learn what it's like to be a member of a subculture by sweating through a fursuit head in your office chair. I guess it's pretty easy to go undercover for 200 days if you never actually approach the people you're infiltrating. I've been undercover as a train conductor for 12 years. They'll never catch me. There's a few other reasons that I think he never actually immersed himself in the furry fandom, like how his entire video premise is nonsense.
Furries getting in a room at conventions and exploring each other's body. Furry parties. Are they real? Who goes to them? Are they bad?
If you spend even a single day on furry Twitter, you're probably going to find a video that was taken at a room party, both explicit and not. So the thing that you're supposedly trying to prove is already widely documented public knowledge.
You don't have to prove the existence, they exist! You're just not supposed to see it! What do you mean? What, you're telling me that not safe for work stuff is not out in the open like that? Like a party like that?
The other thing that strikes me as out of touch is that, and I could be wrong here because it's sadly getting hard to tell, the art on those business cards really looks AI generated. Now, I'd love to hear who the artist is, and we both know that you could have afforded it since you love flexing your cash so much, but at a glance, it has that uncanny vibe that I've subconsciously learned to detect over the last few years. A specific kind of high contrast, super clean rendering that paradoxically has what feels like weird, obvious mistakes here and there. I point this.
Damn, Snorky. Did you even belly love one uwu foxu? The answer obviously is no, because he was afraid to hump the man's leg. He wasn't. He wasn't out there to be for real.
This out because art is the driving force of the furry fandom, so most draw a hard line at the use of AI, which is seen as theft. Even if you don't personally draw, it can be heartbreaking to watch someone like Chuni as people train their machine learning algorithms on his art so thoroughly that the generated images even reproduce his signature. It's a double no-no to then go on to sell your AI-generated furry art for a profit. The video ends on the note that Anthony has 100 leftover business cards and is going to sell them at a store for cheap. Well, cheap in his words. When I looked, he was charging $10 a pop. I guess a millionaire would think that that's cheap?
I mean, it's one banana, Michael. What would it cost? $10?
If I'm doing the math right, he would have made more off of these cards than he paid for his fursuit in the first place.
Now this Sigma Paws fursuit was only $700.
All of this is frustrating, because it makes it feel like he never had a genuine interest in the community, like he claimed, but instead saw filming the internet's most consistent punching bag as an easy source of content.
And that is what I think he did. And I'm pretty sure I can bring you to understand that that is the conclusion that you should probably come away with here. And if you learn nothing else, learn. Stay your ass out of furry people's business. They are now under my black protection.
Oh.
I'm not joking. They're under my black protection. I will put my foot in your fucking ass. Stay in your goddamn lane.
Sheesh.
We didn't know you felt that way, Carl.
I don't know, like, I never felt, like, fucking protected when I was around furries, because, like, again, I felt like I was, at some point in time, I was a little bit too autistic for them. And, like, I faced a little bit of a discrimination of my own because I like non-standard furry stuff, like birds. And birds aren't cool. Birds aren't as cool as, like, wolves or huskies or foxes.
You know what you should do? You should make a bird suit.
I mean, there's people who do, but it's not the popular thing to do.
Yes, but you should go and wear one and make it popular.
I don't know if I want to spend all that money. I mean, I have SL as my outlet for furry stuff, and that's less expensive.
I suppose, but, you know, go out and be the change you want to see. You sound so defeated and annoyed with me.
I mean,
it's fine.
Think about comes so far. Think about this. Purchase the worst fursuit head of all time.
Damn. All right. Someone made that. It's kind of cute, even if it looks a bit more like a squirrel than a wolf. You don't need to trash it in front of everyone. I know that you use a lot of self-deprecating humor, but it's not really self-deprecating humor once it's someone else's art. And then there's the fat shaming. It's honestly one of the biggest signs that Sigma Paws was inauthentic. Because, buddy, bears do very well for themselves in this community. Body shaming doesn't belong here.
Furry parade!
Who is that?
So you see, that's where the trouble began. That smile. Damn smile.
Sorry, I got distracted. Before we get to the really bad stuff, I do have a bit of an issue with the part that people usually like, and not just because I'm a needless contrarian all the time. So, furries who half paid attention to this video while washing the dishes or something generally share the same opinion. You shouldn't record people having sex, but otherwise, that was a heartwarming video that makes furries look pretty good. And if that's the shared feeling among casual viewers, then I can't really disagree, can I? I'm pointing out all of these issues, but sometimes the effect of a piece of art is more important than the actual text of that piece of art.
Most furries know that what they're doing is cringe. It's just
He is, in fact, a furry media literacy understander.
something that most of them enjoy.
Even if the effect seems to be largely derived not from the bulk of the video, but from what we were essentially told to feel about it at the end.
Boy, I'm sure glad that's over with. Me too. Yeah, but you know, I learned something today.
What people seem to remember is that Anthony starts the video by saying that it bothers him how furries are treated online. Never mind that he spends the next 10 minutes of the video contributing to that. Then there's the fun bit on the dance floor.
In the meantime, we went to a furry rave.
I love furries.
And then he explains that furries are neurodivergent.
And a good chunk of furries also have some sort of neurodivergence.
I'm kind of on the spectrum. This has been a great gateway for me.
But, you know, that bit has been sticking with me. It sounds nice at first blush, but on repeat viewings, it hits a really specific point that's been bothering me about coverage of furries for years. Don't get me wrong. Yes, furries are very open about and accepting of neurodivergence. We're not perfect, but it's hard to think of groups that handle it better. I think the issue I have with this framing is that it's always phrased like an answer that implies a question. And that question is, why are furries like this? It always seems to come up when some third party is trying to explain furries to non-furries. And by bringing it up at all, it always ends up sounding like an explanation. Oh, they're neurodivergent. That's why. Doesn't that just feel kind of condescending? They could always say, oh, these people are a community that found a bare source of euphoria through unfettered self-expression.
It absolutely feels condescending when you phrase it like that, because I mean that's a common thing, because a lot of when people would troll furries in the past, they would assume that most of these furries are Christian types, and that's not true, obviously.
That would be where I would interject and say he wasn't even done with his sentence. But then it would also be where I'd say, well, how many content creators do you have, and do you see, like me, just doing this as a regular thing, where you can come across and see this? How many people do you see usually reminding people, hey, yo, you know how you don't like being persecuted in your audience? Maybe don't persecute people in other people's audiences. Because most people don't like bullies. Bullying of people who are deserving is one thing. Fucking with somebody who did not fuck with you first, therefore it is not under the rules and charters as was written by the Trolls Decree of 2009 that you don't start none, there won't be none. You don't. Because furries have already been an acceptable target for years. The same way that nerds and geeks were. The only difference is that the fun of being a nerd or a geek or a blurred wasn't made culturally relevant and financially lucrative to make money off of it. That said, because the furries are usually suspiciously wealthy, they don't have that problem where a bunch of people who would have otherwise just been wallflowers get into their hobby and they want to start using that for clout. There are those that exist in there, but
no, they've always kind of existed for a while. I would at least say, I think I've been noticing more like in the 2010s is like, oh, I want to make money, and then I want to join the furry community, and there's a whole bunch of a long list of scammers and stuff that people had to make lists and say do not buy, do not contact this person.
Yeah, but I wasn't done talking, Saf.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. You're more than likely to see somebody like Momokun become a furry because she gets pushed out of scenes and spaces, and then suddenly get pushed out of the furry fandom. Then you already see random, regular, everyday people just slowly come across a rainforest event, or some type of furry convention of some sort, and then luck themselves into it. Because of the fact that it's already inoculated and insulated, and the elements that he was looking to make content on are going to already be hidden behind gate-kept public walls. It's not going to happen the same way that it happened with gaming. It's not going to happen the same way that it happened with pop culture. And it's not going to happen the same way that it happened with comic books or with subgenres inside of video games, music, and electronica in general, or electronics. You're not going to see a random guy that used to play nothing but street fighting games showing up to a convention in a fursuit because he happened to meet a suspiciously wealthy and very popular furry TikTok creator, or furry YouTuber, or furry Twitch streamer who also happens to be a sex worker. It's not going to happen. Inherently, because even if considered embarrassing, that cringe is what protects them. We need something like that for ourselves. But unfortunately, we have to make them uncomfortable to do that. And we have long since given up the affectations of seeming friendly and fun, that we cannot get that to work for us because of that dynamic. We would have to start making ourselves look like evil, toxic Nazis. More or less.
Well, they used to kind of exist in the furry fandom, but...
Nazis?
You don't know about the Nazi furs?
No.
Oh, I'm surprised.
Woman, usually people that want to do things of the sexual nature are probably not going to invite in alt-right people into an event that inherently itself is queer and therefore is left-wing in their political sense.
I know, but they probably have their own spaces now or whatever, but yeah, they kind of used to be more public, I want to say, before, you know, I want to say Obama got elected.
Yeah, that'd do it.
And to explain furries to non-furries. And by bringing it up at all, it always ends up sounding like an explanation. Oh, they're neurodivergent. That's why. Doesn't that just feel kind of condescending? They could always say, oh, these people are a community that found a rare source of euphoria through unfettered self-expression. But that would imply that we're right. And unfortunately, positive coverage of us is still always subtly couched in the narrative that we're strange and perverse, if ultimately harmless. So, instead, we're framed as people who just must have something different about our brains. That must be the reason we're like this. But here's the thing. We're not really neurodivergent. Not overwhelmingly, anyway. I know, that sounds wild, considering how often it comes up. But as far as I can tell, the anecdotal evidence that you're thinking of isn't supported by the real statistics. According to Fur Science, 6% of furries have been diagnosed with anxiety, and 9% have ADHD, which is completely in line with the general population. What is significant is that 12% of us are autistic. Now, this is a male-dominated fandom, and boys are about 4 times more likely to be diagnosed with autism than girls, but that's still around 3 times higher than the national average. That is a lot of people. But it's also not, like, it's a bit weird to define a community as a whole by a subgroup that makes up so little of the population. It would be like declaring any room to be full of furries the moment I walk into it. Like, I am there, and I'm valid. But that's not really how words work. And I say this all as someone who is himself in the process of pursuing diagnosis. I've been in twice so far. I've gone through all the questionnaires. They don't think I'm autistic. I think I have ADHD, but my scores roll in this borderline gray area kind of place. Toaster's answers, as an outsider, have my doctor questioning whether I have an anxiety disorder or not. So I just finished a sleep apnea test and I'm going in for therapy in June. She wants to address everything else before she even thinks about testing me for ADHD. It's a process. And it's a nightmare. Made worse by the fact that every time I make an appointment, it's always going to be more than a month in the future. Just, ugh. But what I do know, and I understand that this may not be true to your story, but it is true to mine. What I do know is that I'm not a furry because I might be neurodivergent. I'm a furry because I'm gay. I feel insane for having pointed out, but it's strangely common for media coverage of furries to summarize us based entirely on the 12% of us that are autistic, while carefully dodging the 80% of us that are LGBT. It feels a bit like going to a leather bar so that you can ask all the daddies whether or not they have ADHD. I mean, I'd be curious to know, but it does feel a bit off topic. And sure enough,
you go down to the Blue Oyster to ask them specifically about their gunpla collection. That actually probably would work. Hey, they have money. They have 3D printers.
I mean, I think I said it in a chat a while ago. I think, like, me having a pickup line, if I go to a bar, I have a pickup line, say, yeah, I have a CRT television. I have, like, Super Smash Bros. Melee. Want to play it with me? Wink, wink.
Has that worked out for you?
I haven't said anything. I usually say that as a joke.
You know what you should do?
Huh?
You should go to some place and do that. And then...
No! Come on, Carl. That's not going to work.
And then when you bring them back to your place, you break out the Tweety Bird fursuit.
I don't have that.
Let us know what happens.
Goodness gracious.
How many times does Anthony say gay in his video about furries? Trans? Queer? LGBT? Non-binary? 0. Not a single mention. That's what makes this part of the video that's celebrating the fandom ring as hollow and inauthentic to me. The rest of the entire video is chock full of homophobic jokes, but then when it's time to celebrate us, suddenly we're neurodivergent. And then the really cynical part of my brain can't help but think that this partitioning is deliberate. It ends up feeling like Anthony is intentionally avoiding mentioning our queerness because then he'd be saying out loud that he's infiltrating a queer community for content. And while there's a whole genre of videos where someone documents people being weird, which is maybe something we should interrogate about ourselves, it's generally understood that you probably shouldn't impersonate a member of a minority group for clicks. So, through the warped perspective of online optics, this kind of thing is seen as more acceptable if you just say that our brains are different and leave it at that. Never mind the smell, that's just the subtly implied ableism.
Going to a furry convention!
Alright, I think we've spent enough time eating around the crust. Let's actually actually get the contents of the video. So, Anthony's objective was to infiltrate a queer event, pretend that he likes men, get invited into an intimate gathering under false pretenses, film sexual acts, and then somehow turn this into postable content for his YouTube channel that has 1.7 million subscribers. I'm honestly impressed. My mind is blown just trying to imagine how someone could come up with this concept. Think it's a good idea.
I mean, anybody can come up with the concept. It's whether or not they'd have the actual time to go out and physically do it. Because anyone could have posted this video. They're gonna judge the attack vector as being, look at how you defenestrated us in front of an audience, and that's valid. But it's gonna be the follow through and the malice that really sticks it in your craw. Malice is the biggest selling point. And also, Jeff's right. Imagine getting two-stalked by somebody in a Tweety fursuit with a corset.
Oh, come on.
You also have to do the voice.
No.
Hey, all I'm saying, like, I have to steal your joke, Snorky. At the end of the day, they gonna see a putty tat. Yes? No? Anyways, moving forward.
Good idea. Plan a trip with his friends that apparently don't think to stop him. Execute on this plan. Edit the hours of footage from the trip, rewatch the finished video, and still think, yeah, that's ready to upload. He just had so many...
Yep, that was my point.
...chances to stop, but he didn't. It's strange watching how single-minded he is about getting into a room party, too. Like, he got the chance to interview several people who are members of the group that he claims to be interested in.
The first real step I wanted to take was to interview people and ask them if they knew about these parties.
But then, in the edit, he skips right over all these encounters, adding narration that lets us know how frustrated he was, that these people weren't randomly telling him about the sex that they have. It's almost as if he views them as obstacles, like they're in his way.
I wasn't really getting anywhere, and this guy started speaking in Chinese, and I was about to quit until I heard this.
My friends are hosting a little party this weekend.
Furry party?
Not anything NSFW. Okay.
Alright, hang on. So, days into editing this, I just realized there's a story here.
But you can only interview people at this con if you have a press pass. It's like, how was I supposed to get a press pass? I got hired to run the Furry of the Week section of furryweekly.com.
I know what you're thinking. So, yes, I did go and try to find what Sigma Pause wrote for Furry Weekly. While I was searching, I did find this nice article by Danielle, The Christmas Tale of Lorfi and Livu. You see, Livu had just received his fursuit, but suffered an apartment fire only a week later, which destroyed the suit as soon as he'd gotten it. I wanted to recreate that happiness for him, especially after such a distressing event, Lorfi said. So he went and recreated the entire suit as a gift. Like, holy shit, that's actually amazing. Furry of the Week is a regular segment that's all about spreading positivity within our community. And this was the segment that Anthony claimed he'd taken on. But wait, like, I can't seem to find anything credited to Sigma Pause anywhere on the site.
So honestly, I might just go ahead and like invite you to join the team.
Lil Uzi or Playboy Cardi?
Yeah, that was me on the phone. I was made aware of him actually being a YouTuber pretty quickly after he posted his video. So I've been wondering how many people he actually made contact with on behalf of Furry Weekly. No, though, he never did any work for us. I haven't watched his full video, but from what I've heard, it just seems like he used Furry Weekly as a cover to try and interview some people. But it never resulted in anything for us. He indeed just asked to join. I wanted to give him a shot, and when I messaged him asking when I could incorporate him into our team, he didn't message me again.
So,
I'm pausing him here. So, let's keep a tally now. Obsidian. So, let's take a list of how many sins this YouTuber has done. Sin number 1. He used them for content. Just take a screenshot of the picture. Boom. You used them for content. And then you said, haha, thanks for the sex, loser, and left them there with a sticky nut. I just switched to the wrong screen. And you just left them there with sticky nut. That's the first thing that you did. God damn it. Every time with the draw tool. So, that's number 1. Number 2, and this one was what I called out as he was doing it. You chose to run someone's publication's credibility through the fucking dirt because you needed a plausible excuse to be able to get yourself into the events so that you could record people. Because spreading positivity. No, that is definitely the wrong community, Snorky. Those are bug chasers. They are different. While there are probably some bug chasers that are furries, bug chasers are actually hated by the furries because that's not sex positive. Actively spreading around diseases because you love to play God with people's lives. Much like how TwitchCon has the no broadcasting past this point line, multiple events, good ones, have the same broadcasting media and recording rules. If you've ever read the bylines in terms of service of attending one. And the reason why is that they have to designate a zone for it. They obviously aren't against photography outright as a principle. But literally, he took the credibility of a known business, a legitimate real business and basically used it as a cover story to explain that he used it to get
anything for us.
information
Indeed, just
for himself.
asked to join. I wanted to give him a shot, and when I messaged him asking when I could incorporate him into our team, he didn't message me.
And did so to tarnish their reputation by proxy and making people believe that this site owner of that content was basically in on it. So, you made a fall guy of this paper. Let's keep going.
Again.
So, he ghosted them. He bragged about getting the credentials to write a small, feel-good column, interviewed people under false pretenses, and disappeared once he got what he wanted. I think I hate YouTubers now. The video is split into an A plot and a B plot, like a TV show. The A plot is about him trying to get into a room party, and the B plot is about him trying to win the dance competition.
Next place I was going to look for people was going to be at these furry dance competitions.
Okay, finally, something normal to do. Except he clarifies that he views the dance competition as a glorified courtship ritual.
I knew that if I won the finals for something like this, I would get into a free party. And maybe if I won this, people would also want to get naked with me, I think.
I swear, like, polite society always frames gay people as being sex-crazed perverts, but it's the straight people who interact with us who can't seem to just be normal about it. Oh, and I have bad news, Anthony.
In first place, can I get a large round of applause for Ozone?
Contrary to popular belief, being good at dancing has never gotten me whole. Even though it runs counter to the entire premise of the video, for some reason Anthony can't stop reminding us that homosexuality grosses him out.
This may look like the face of a happy person, but it's actually the face of a man about to have a face full of fur. Naked fur.
Naked fur? Are they naked? Or are they in a fur?
A happy person, but it's actually the face of a man about to have a face full of fur. Naked fur.
Naked fur? Are they naked? Or are they in a fursuit? Whatever. I cannot stress enough that this is a thing that he's doing to himself. No one is pressuring him into this. And I'm willing to assume that the adults he's trying to be intimate with would prefer to be touching someone who actually wants to be touched, not someone who acts like they're going to throw up at the idea of commenting on someone else's dick. He gets invited into the Telegram group that's organizing the naked party, and then he starts freaking out when the participants start posting nudes in there.
He just posts his full copy in the chat, okay?
Holy shit, I cuddle so much. Here's a photo of my wiener.
I don't know what I expected.
Grow up, Anthony. You're the one that's coming into our spaces and pretending that you like it. So why are you reacting to it?
Go backwards.
I don't know what I full copy in the chat, okay?
Holy shit.
Into the Telegram group that's organizing the naked party, and then he starts freaking out when the participants start posting nudes in there.
He just posts his full copy in the chat, okay?
Holy shit, I cuddle so much. Here's a photo of my wiener.
I don't know what I expected.
Grow up, Anthony. You're the one that's coming into our spaces and pretending that you like it. So why are you reacting to it all like it's the insect eating challenge from Fear Factor?
Madagascar. Cockroaches. We need to add the maggots.
Don't forget about the maggots.
Wait, can I reference Fear Factor? Just let me... Shit, it was canceled when he was 5. I don't have a new reference. I'm 34. My taste is already calcified.
Oh, it's a fanboy.
I'm out.
It was a guy.
What? Who on this cover did you think wasn't a man? This guy? What did you think the title "Let the Best Man Win" meant? You know what? Never mind. Things take a turn for the worse here, because unfortunately he couldn't just leave it at the jokes about how he's straight and terrified of dongs. In fact, this video is pretty insidiously homophobic throughout. Like when he bought that book from Fenris Publishing.
The weird part about this is that this is completely in the center of the expo hall. Like, you could just wander in here if you're like an 8-year-old, a 9-year-old, and they didn't even check my ID when I purchased it.
What the fuck? No, absolutely not. This is a lie. Anthony is lying here. Of course they checked your age, Anthony. You had to present your ID at registration. Anthony was at Anthro, New England in this video. I've never been there, but I have been to Midwest Fur Fest, Las Vegas FurCon, Biggest Little FurCon, Midwest Fur Fest again, further confusion, Las Vegas FurCon
Lapped out
again,
the
and I just got back
receipts.
from Furry Weekend.
Yes.
The credentials.
Yes. So the main reason why they don't check your ID when you're buying them is because they already checked your ID when you checked in at the door.
Yeah.
And furry conventions are actually well known for this. They have trading card collectible badges. Technically, any con has this, but trading card collectible badges to demonstrate the ones that you've been to. Technically, if you were to keep your badges, if you went to these events, you could have a box full of these on lanyards.
I have my anime Matsuri lanyards hanging up behind me because I have I think I probably have 3 or 4 of them now. Hold on, let me double check. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh, yeah, it's 5. Sheesh.
Let's see if I can find some of the old Nerdicon badges for our events. Probably not. They're probably all gone. Let's see here. There's some of them. So, for the one that was hosted by our local community college for our student life group of the Campus Nerds of Columbus State, we had our own mascot, and he looked like this. And every year, this right here, every year, we would redesign what he looked like. Hello, Nick. We would redesign what he would look like on every single badge and on every single passed out program, because that's just what we did. The group was founded by my sister and her friends, and I was a second generation legacy in said group, and I had started working for it when I was in high school. Went to high school, going and helping the events, which then gave me the ability to get onto the floor. Then, once I became a group member, paying my dues, doing the works, the conditions, the traditions, upkeeping the traditions, sometimes even gatekeeping people who shouldn't have been there because they didn't actually want to be a part of the group. They just wanted to be around all our thick white women, our thick black girls.
Really?
I'm not joking. We had some of the people of our group were very attractive, and or were really fun people to be around. We would find different versions of this art to update and make it look like, but unfortunately it appears that we did not save it inside of the Google search engine, which is unfortunate, because as I'm looking up the event, I can find old versions of the banners that we had for them. I can find pictures of us at the events when we held it inside of the ironworks in the city, but I can't find the different versions of our stuff, of our badges. I mean, because I'm pretty sure the site that we used to use is now defunct. Yep, no, I cannot find it. I can only find a couple of cosplay pictures. Unfortunate. It is what it is. Anyways. Yeah, the badges and the multiple amount of events that you've been to themselves are actually a great way for you to demonstrate that you are legitimate. Because clearly, he has a brand. And usually for the furries, they actually customize your badge with your furry character on it.
Vegas FurCon, Vegas Little FurCon, Midwest FurFest again, further confusion, Las Vegas Fur.
So you can see there on his spread, you see how every single card is different and it's got his name on it and it also has different art and presentation to it. This is the secret card. This is the proof that you've been there, as well as, you know, the Telegram groups.
FurCon again, and I just got back from Furry Weekend Atlanta. While you can technically roam the hotel space without being an attendee, the Dealer's Den is a closed event where they check your badge on the way in. And I got every single one of my badges by waiting in a long line on the first day so that I could show the staff my driver's license, and usually proof of my COVID vaccination. Whatever you think about furries, they're great at waiting in line. Because they're such good boys. So, they knew I was 18 or older. All that takes is a quick look at Anther New England's website to verify that. While minors are allowed to attend the convention, they must be chaperoned at all times by a parent or a guardian. Minors are given a separate badge that announces to dealers that they're under 18, and if any parent did choose to bring their 9-year-old into the Dealer's Den, they would see that every applicable book that's sold by vendors clearly features this large 18+ adults only label. So, no 8 or 9-year-old is getting a copy of May the Best Man Win from the Dealer's Den. But thank you, Anthony, for implying that the queer event you attended was selling pornography to children. It's not like Think of the Children has been the most effective attack on gay and trans people for long.
Like some anime conventions. I know they tuck it into the back, but I'm like, don't
It's
bring
not the
your
same
kids.
thing. It's not the same
I
thing.
know.
And that's because they are prioritizing the clout for the event. Then they are prioritizing the safety of the event. That's why people do not look at conventions as something serious. The furries treat this shit like it's life and death, because usually sometimes it is.
Longer than either of us have even been alive. This is a totally safe climate in which to make that misleading accusation. Which takes us back to that opening clip. Hey cutie, love the videos. I'm not allowed near schools. Masquerading as a member of a queer subculture, Anthony made his Sigma Pause character a pedophile. That's the implication of him not being allowed near schools. That his gay character is a registered sex offender, and he could have let that choice die there. But we know about it because he thought it was so funny that he then ended up putting it in the video. I thought the younger generation was supposed to be more in touch with LGBT issues. What is going on, Anthony? Oh, and speaking of Sigma Pause, he has a TikTok where the whole joke, the younger generation is a registered sex offender, and he could have let that choice Sigma Pause character a pedophile. That opening most effective attack the best. Sold. Minors are given a separate badge that announces 18+ adults only label. So, no 8 or 9-year-old is getting a copy of May the Best Man Win from the Dealer's Den. But thank you, Anthony, for implying that the queer event you attended was selling pornography to children. It's not like Think of the Children has been the most effective attack on gay and trans people for longer than either of us have even been alive. This is a totally safe climate.
I would say to that as a response, just as a retort, yeah, you guys have to stop using Think of the Children as an easy attack, because it's the equivalent of trying to shit on a specific group of people like Zoosadists, and just labeling and spraying and preying on people, because they also are the types of gays that literally do not want kids anywhere nearby this shit, so that they are safe. That has to stop too.
I'm in which to make that misleading accusation, which takes us back to that opening clip. Hey cutie, love the videos. I'm not allowed near schools. Masquerading as a member of a queer subculture, Anthony made his Sigma Pause. which takes us
It is so hard to fucking cap this while it's moving.
back to that opening clip.
Hey cutie, love the videos.
I'm not allowed near schools.
Masquerading as a member of a queer subculture, Anthony made his Sigma Pause character a pedophile. That's the implication of him not being allowed near schools. That his gay character is a registered sex offender, and he could have let that choice die there. But we know about it because he thought it was so funny that he then ended up putting it in the video. I thought the younger generation was supposed to be more in touch with LGBT issues. What is going on, Anthony? Oh, and speaking of Sigma Pause, he has a TikTok where the whole joke is that he's following a man around because he wants to have sex with his dog. So Sigma Pause is a zoophile? How does this keep getting worse?
They've been a laughing stock of the internet for the better part of 2 decades.
It's always kind of bugged me a little bit.
But that's not all.
That's not the final step, though. The final step.
STD test.
You're gonna get HIV at a
You see, the joke is that gay men have a lingering stigma that still follows us decades later because disease ravaged our population in the 80s and Ronald Reagan ignored the crisis because he preferred it if we just die. It's comedy gold, really. And then, when Anthony leaves for the party, his friend records himself saying that Anthony is currently getting molested by furries. And then Anthony chose to put that clip in the video because, as we all know, gay men are sexual predators, and that's hilarious.
It's always kind of bugged me a little bit.
Man, no. Gay men party, 80s, and But that's not all.
That's not the final step, though. The final step.
STD test.
You're gonna get HIV at a
You see, the joke is that gay men have a lingering stigma that still follows us decades later because disease ravaged our population in the 80s and Ronald Reagan ignored the crisis because he preferred it if we just die. It's comedy gold, really. And then, when Anthony leaves for the party, his friend records himself saying that Anthony is currently getting molested by furries. And then Anthony chose to put that clip in the video because, as we all know, gay men are sexual predators, and that's hilarious.
It's always kind of bugged me a little bit.
Man, I'm just tired at this point. How did we get here? How does a Zoomer make a video about queer people where the comedy is barely distinguishable from a movie by the Daily Wire?
The algorithm. Susan Wojcicki. The Adpocalypse. And Zoomer humor.
Well, the thing about I want to say quick about the Zoomers is that a lot of them are they're not very sex positive exactly.
Go on.
I'm sorry, I had to cough a little bit. Let me just take a sip of water. They're not exactly sex positive in the way that I guess the furry community would think, because even if they are part of the LGBT, their views on sex is very strangely conservative. Because, in their mind, they think that, gay people are lovey-dovey. They're not exactly exposed to, like, the sexual part because, a fair amount of them might be sheltered from it.
Well, the kids are growing up adultized, and as they get older, they become sexually conservative. So that pretty much plays out as expected.
It's garbage.
Snorky says, I call cap. All my Zoomer coworkers are way too much information about their bedroom activities.
I mean, the ones I've encountered, kind of like just have like very strange views on sex. Like women are always submissive somehow. They don't have any agency. Like it's a very strange take. But usually if I'm in a work environment, I don't really hear people talking about sex like that. No matter how old people were.
Okay.
And I feel like in another world there might have been a larger discussion about these details, but the video famously got so much worse. I don't think most people interrogated what all these earlier comments meant, because what came next was too upsetting for them to think about anything else. It's time to talk about the room parties.
I've seen so many videos about furries in my time here on YouTube, but I have never seen a video about furry party.
If we take Anthony's word for it, literally every single thing he did in his 200-day experiment was in service of him going to a con, finding a party where people were being intimate, and filming it for his YouTube channel. That's not even me reinterpreting anything. It's just his explicit mission statement, which is absolutely wild. Like, holy shit, dude.
Are they real? Who goes to them? Are they bad? She thinks it's at every furry convention if you look for it.
It's not a secret. It's just you separate it as such, so it's not the main thing going on at the con. You know how you separate the safe for work stuff from the not safe for work stuff? That's why.
He finally gets his lead by passing out business cards that just say, invite me to your orgy, please. Someone reaches out, inviting him to a Telegram group to organize the party. Now, what follows is sensitive, so I'm going to be as vague as possible. Anthony attends a nude party, which just consists of a bunch of furries laying in bed together. Instead of showing any footage, he got an animator to recreate the scene with Animal Crossing characters. He then catches wind of a second party, and arrives to find someone straddling a large fursuiter. And he joins in. The second party doesn't get a recreation. Instead, we see the real footage, albeit heavily censored. We see it when Anthony strips down and climbs into bed. He doesn't stay long.
Seeing Ben after that hour and a half made me feel like I was deployed in Vietnam and I was getting to see my wife after returning home.
So, that's violating. Imagine coming home from a convention and finding out that some YouTuber filmed you in your most vulnerable moments and posted it online to his 1.7 million subscribers.
Seeing Ben after that hour and a half made me feel like I was deployed in Vietnam and I was getting to see my wife after returning home.
So, that's violating. Imagine coming home from a convention and finding out that some YouTuber filmed you in your most vulnerable moments and posted it online to his 1.7 million subscribers. Sure, you're blurred, you're not getting doxxed or whatever, but you know that's you. That's just not acceptable behavior. And I really struggle to get into the headspace that would allow someone to do this, because it's not a spur-of-the-moment thing. It took months of planning, and even when he had the footage, he had so many chances to realize that he shouldn't use it. And there were people all around him who should have told him no. It's just such an obviously bad idea that even longtime fans of his can be seen saying that this video just felt off. But for any non-furries, I'll try to better articulate why this bothers so many of us as much as it does. In a previous video, I described my experience of going to my first furry convention. I woke up with my boyfriend in the hotel room, opened the curtains, and looked down to see all of these colorful fursuits walking the streets, clearly identifiable despite the distance. And in that moment, I felt a weight lift from within me. I had known that I was gay for over a decade. I had only just come out of the closet 8 months ago, and now, I realized, I was surrounded by my people in a way that I'd never been before. It was a safe space, safe from the harm that someone might do to me for being who I am, but also safe to express myself and explore myself. When we throw a convention, it's a bit like having a pride event. We're creating a dense cluster of marginalized people, so that for one weekend, we can just be normal. In a lot of ways, going to a convention, putting on a suit, it's therapeutic for people. So think about what it does to us.
I appreciate the fact that when he puts the sources down here, you can actually see the name of the people who are responsible for having recorded it, so that they can be able to receive some of the attention that came away from him having to address this, instead of it just simply being centered on his channel. That's nice.
Yeah, that's a very
When someone
good
intrudes
point.
on our space to make a mockery of us, to other and exoticize us, and exploit us for their content. It's cruel. Infiltrating us under false pretenses is a violation of trust, and doing it just to watch us fuck is dehumanizing. What I've learned from doing YouTube is that we, Anthony and I, can be powerful. In my V-Stars video, I came out to my audience in real time. That was a risk. I had no idea how that was going to go, but it ended up inspiring people. The comment section and my DMs are filled with people who made positive changes to their lives, coming out to their parents, committing to their transition, embracing their furry side, reaching out and meeting people who are in community. That video, breaking 1 million views, and having the reach that it has had, if that's my peak as a creator, knowing what it did, I think I can die happy with that. When I started making videos as a 21-year-old, I never imagined that I could have a positive impact on people's lives. It's kind of terrifying because, like, honestly, who the fuck am I? When I was at FWA a few weeks ago, I got stopped and recognized a record number of times. It was surreal, and not only because some of them were while I was wearing fishnets and booty shorts. A few of those people even told me that I was the reason that they were there, because they've had their own journey since they saw that video. So imagine my frustration when I get home to see that one of my peers, and a much larger channel at that, uses his platform to do the opposite. I had a rule against responding to videos made by other YouTubers because my heart can't handle that drama, but I haven't been able to think about anything else since. Like, he says that one of the participants looked like a Discord mod, which is a fairly significant insult to one's appearance. I know multiple people who have really struggled to find themselves attractive. Most mainstream media is designed to make you feel bad about yourself if you don't look like, well, Anthony. And people who have internalized that will even say that to your face. But what furries have come to understand is that, actually, everyone is a whole lot more attractive than they realize. I've also been reevaluating my own appearance after a lifetime of negative feedback, because I've been given a chance to see myself through the eyes of others and believe that they actually like me. Through this community, we're given a chance to repair our sense of self and realize that we are worthy of love, and that we probably don't even really believe in the standards of beauty that we've been told are correct anyway. So imagine you have this kind of affirming experience, only to find out that a YouTuber decided to body shame you in front of hundreds of thousands of people.
Because I'm like, are furries honestly that bad?
That's not the kind of affirming experience, only to find out that a YouTuber decided to body shame you in front of hundreds of thousands of people.
Because I'm like, are furries honestly that bad?
That's not the main thing I want to talk about today. While I was working on this video, Anthony posted an apology on Twitter, which for clarity, I will now read in full.
I want to clear up some misconceptions from the furry video. I removed 2 minutes from the video after speaking to one of the people involved, and they asked to be removed. They did not want the situation to become a huge deal. For their sake, I'm trying to avoid doing more damage than I've already done. I did not film audio or video of anything sexual, just cuddling. I'm not here to defend myself, just wanted to clarify. All audio was remade. Recording was mentioned beforehand, the phone was visibly set up in the hotel room, and then afterwards, everything was heavily blurred or remade entirely. I had spoken to lawyers and checks were done by YouTube. This being said, this does not excuse what I did as anything less than horrible. I'm disappointed in myself and am so sorry to those specifically involved and those who feel betrayed. For those
Pause. You're disappointed in yourself now?
Cap.
Again, I said, also, he's been in agreement with every single point that I made talking about it, and the reasons why I was right about him having an ulterior motive. Carl was right. But more importantly, you are sorry because you got caught and clocked.
Yeah.
Which, you are a large figure YouTuber. You are past the million mark. What the fuck do you mean I didn't expect this kind of reaction?
I didn't expect this would happen, guys. I can't believe it.
criticizing me for perpetuating stereotypes against the furry community, I want to apologize and emphasize that wasn't my goal in any capacity. I greatly appreciate those of you who reached out with genuine concern. I turned the video into a fundraiser for the Trevor Project.
See, as far as apologies go, it's not the worst. At least it's not a I'm sorry you felt that way. He acknowledges that he did something wrong and takes...
This itself is another slight, so let me just take a quick screenshot of that, and boom. To read, side note, turning a video retroactively into a charity fundraiser doesn't really work on YouTube because it isn't a call in action in the video itself. No one will notice or care, so it's taken as a token gesture. The total has been sitting at exactly $1,000 all week, which I suspect came from Anthony himself, which is nice. But the unmoving total highlights how this doesn't really accomplish anything, especially since most of the video's lifetime traffic is in its past. So, whenever you hear people complaining about the content creator is conglomerizing material and using it to boost themselves. There's actually a built-in tool into YouTube where you can set up a proper fundraiser. We have all seen it every now and again, especially if you've been seeing anything from PewDiePie. It's built in, and you have to do it from the beginning of the video. If you ever do it as a post hoc thing, people literally are not going to see it. They're not going to be notified of it, and they're going to be less given a reason to care, especially if you do not have a petition or a give, send, go, or some type of fundraising to go alongside of it that you promote in the content itself, either as a verbal call to action or as a call to action tied in with your cards, because the system has literally been designed to prevent YouTubers from being able to scam people, because if you're doing brand deals, it needs to be announced in the content. If you're selling something, it has to be announced in the content. And who remembers Kappa?
I remember.
Carl H. Farm remembers. Kappa specifically is wired in a way to stop that content from being seen by child audiences so that it doesn't show up on YouTube Kids, and it can only show up under reservation to those that are subs as a push notification, as well as it being linked to your ability to give the money directly from your linked payment options. All of that actively works to basically prevent people that are not supposed to be clicking on it and being involved in it from clicking on it and being involved in it. So either he didn't know this, and he just fucked up on a sidebar anyways, or he hoped that the bog standard YouTuber apology was gonna be enough, and it is not.
The full blame for it.
It don't
I'm
work
not one of those
so
people
well.
who sees any influencer apology and reacts with, "You're just saying that to appease us," or whatever. I'll take it as fully sincere. And while we're on the topic, he also went on to apologize to Furry Weekly for ghosting them 4 months later, the day before he released the video. There are some strange details, though, like how in the apology, he claims that he didn't record any sexual acts, but in his original description of the second room party, he definitely described a sexual act, so he's either being misleading here, or he made up the original version of that scene to make his stories spicier. It's also objectively insane that he has the gall to claim that he never set out to perpetuate stereotypes about furries. Literally, the entire goal of the project was to document what goes on in room parties, which he frames as a salacious secret. His entire mission was to perpetuate a stereotype. Like with many apologies, it mostly seems to come down to the fact that he doesn't perceive himself as a bad guy, so he can acknowledge that his actions resulted in something bad, but he can't reconcile that his intentions were rotten from the start. To his credit, though, yes, the entire segment with the 2 room parties is gone entirely. The video was 17.5 minutes long, and now it's only 15. I believe the video had already been seen by 500,000 people at that point, but at least it's gone now? As a side note, this does mean that the video is extremely bad now, even for its target audience. It starts with a mission statement, builds to a climax, and then just doesn't follow through. All of his reactions were within the part that had to be cut, so the video just doesn't work at all. Don't get me wrong, it's good that he removed that section, but it's wild to me that he's left the rest of it up, now that it's this incoherent, shambling corpse of a video. Sorry, it just bothers me on a structural level. It's bad art. He presumably has more than enough footage to start over and make a completely different video out of the material. I competed in a furry dance competition. That's clickable. Not that I'm in any hurry to hear him try to talk about furries again. It does feel a little weird when the apology feels the need to tell us that he spoke with lawyers before making the video. First of all, because this is all technically legal, would never really function as an ethical defense of his behavior. Second of all, because this video had a 3D animated Animal Crossing adaptation of the room party he went to. He says that he was visibly filming, but someone featured in this segment asked that it be removed. That makes sense, because it's not super uncommon for people to film sexual acts for their own personal use.
If everyone's alright with it, I wouldn't mind recording a few parts too.
But even in that context, no one would be expecting that you're doing it for YouTube content. So my main takeaway from this part of the apology is that he took the time to clear the segment with his lawyers, he took the time to commission an artist to animate the segment so he would have more compelling YouTube-friendly visuals to share, but he didn't take the time to ask for the consent of the people he was documenting for an audience.
Yep. I think this frame goes well enough. Oh boy, I love Content Brain. This is probably the biggest accusation that any YouTuber can land on. I want to do that without the fucking gray cover, thank you. This is probably the biggest accusation that any YouTuber can land on. Because when we talk about slop commentary and slop content creation, this is the slop that we're talking about.
Yeah, this is the slot. And he did not cook.
Content brain is a scary thing. When you make videos for YouTube or TikTok or stream on Twitch, you're subjecting yourself to the incentive structures that come with those platforms. Now, back when I made my YouTube account in 2006, I was just lying about my age so I could watch Red vs. Blue as a 16-year-old. The front page was a manually curated space. The algorithm didn't even exist yet. But nowadays, audiences are massive, and you can feel the algorithm's presence at all times. Hell, I'm not free from it. I'm currently working on a video about Beast Complex because my last video absolutely bombed on a scale that I didn't even think was possible. So I figured that I should at least make every other video be about some kind of furry topic so that I don't lose what audience I have. This one doesn't count. In some ways, I'm limiting myself by trying to just make Let's Plays and polite media analysis. I mean, look at Ben of the Week, the other guy in this video that we're talking about. Prank calling the military, driving in VR. 1 star. Ripped my hole. Everything is so scintillating, salacious, and scandalous. If you're smart, what you actually want to do is come up with an irresistible title and thumbnail first, and then, get around to backfilling the video idea and all the actual work later. It's extremely good advice for this platform, because on this site, the title and thumbnail are more important than the actual contents of a video. But it's also an ass-backwards approach to creating art, and I kind of worry about the kids that grew up in this environment. Anthony is positively tame compared to the genre of person that just harasses people on the street while shoving a phone in their face to film their reaction. And some of the kids that do that look like they're 14 years old. And on that note, Anthony is only 22 years old. I myself started out on YouTube when I was 21, and that guy was an idiot.
I'm a unicorn.
My saving grace was that I was only making gaming videos for an audience of approximately no one. Anthony is kind of supposed to be spending his early 20s fucking around and finding out, just like the rest of us. It's just that, whoops, now he's a millionaire with incomprehensible social reach because capitalism, under Internet 2.0, has a completely unhinged reward structure. I mean,
just random communist, anti-capitalist propaganda. We will apologize for them. He's cooking the goulash, okay? He's cooking the ratatouille. It's got some commie in there. Just cut around the commie. Just cut around the commie.
I mean, it's part of the reason why I don't really vibe with furries too much, because like the over politicization of it, it didn't really used to be like that.
Long gone are the days where you could just meet with a furry and they give you some top and you be able to enjoy some Dark Souls. It's gone, forgotten. Carl said,
like, I just wanted to trade art, bro. Why you make me do this?
Complain about having a ton of money, but you are kind of opting out of the chance to have a normal life. And that's a choice that you likely won't realize you even made until long after you made it. I just hope that with age, he'll come to understand how selfish this all really was. The way he stepped over boundaries, exploited the community, and treated real human beings like they were obstacles in his path.
I've been making tons of friends throughout the convention and DMing them constantly, so I thought one of these would lead into a furry party.
I hope these are friends that you're talking to still, and you're not doing this for the sake of manipulation.
The video ends on what I see as a perfect summary of how this all felt to watch. Anthony didn't qualify for the actual dance competition, but he's got a YouTube video to make.
Listen, I take losses with stride. I'm not gonna like crash the dance competition. Crash the fucking dance competition.
So he shows up anyway, storms the stage, and just starts performing. Damn, that's some hype editing, Anthony. It'd be a shame if someone were to remove it.
Are we ready to start this competition? What is going on?
The music is actually playing in the background. Was he jacking the music up on some type of outside fucking stereo?
Yeah. Seems like it.
Oh my god, how fucking pathetic. Holy shit. Now, I know he told us that he produced this fucking song, but I thought that at some point he had just gotten someone to fucking set up the soundboard for him, and that it was like a skit. Well, not for the person who was a part of it, but yeah, no, that kind of tracks now. Wow. Fucking pathetic.
On right now. This is not part of the competition. This is, I'm gonna ask you to have to go back and, hi. I'm gonna ask that never happens again, although that was kind of funny to watch. That's a first? Have you guys ever experienced that before? Just impromptu dance from a random person and they brought their own speaker and everything.
That one definitely gets Anthony England's first disappointed dad face.
It's a bit disrespectful to all the participants who worked hard to qualify for the competition. It's also immensely rude to the poor host of the show, who was probably an unpaid volunteer. It's their job to keep this 2.5-hour event on schedule, but screw that, some YouTuber has decided to make this all about them. After all, his video needs an ending. That's way more important than the event, the host, the real competitors, or even the hundreds of furries in the audience. Anthony Poe needed to make a video, so they're all just props. And perhaps the greatest sin, he didn't even bother to stick around to actually watch the performances. You can see that he's still winded when he leaves. Way to tell on yourself for having never actually cared. And then, he shouts the most honest thing I've heard him say.
I got what I wanted. I got what I wanted!
I don't care. I have more money than you. Get alive!
Everybody knows furries. They've been a laughing stock of the internet for the better part of 2 decades, at least as long as it's always kind of bugged me a little bit.
Bother to stick around. The hundreds of furries has decided rude to the
pointed dad face.
It's a bit disrespectful job to keep this 2.5-hour event on schedule, but screw that, some YouTuber has decided to make this all about them. After all, his video needs an ending. That's way more important than the event, the host, the real competitors, or even the hundreds of furries in the audience. Anthony Poe needed to make a video, so they're all just props. And perhaps the greatest sin, he didn't even bother to stick around to actually watch the performances. You can see.
I think that's the more embarrassing part. For me, personally. There's a lot that he could have done differently, and there's a lot of lessons that he probably could now use going forward, but because of the good old number 8 here, so in total, we've got 9 things. 9 different points brought up by the content creator here. His name, when I can get back on the page, is Boring Keith. He has a 54.4K subscriber channel. This is his video. Please do not do anything stupid. If you choose to comment something, please tell him that the Carlists send their regards. We're not going to go with the Negroid line. That's a little bit too hard. We could probably do Negro sends his regard. And then a whip crack. But I think the most annoying part, to me, in my case, hi Reggie, to me, outside of 1 through 9 of these offenses, is probably offense number 9. Offense number 9 is the most annoying of why that's a pathetic thing to do for content, because of the concept of number 8. As a YouTuber, we have the potential to reach hundreds of thousands of millions of people, not just by us making work on the platform, but also through our social media engagement. By no means should we be treated as role models, but we should be treated as telescopes and microscopes that broadcast out and radialize inwards to study outside people from the perspectives that we have, both from the outside looking in and from the inside looking out. Because this is where understanding comes through. It's like Azimuth of Ben 10, the original timeline. People have transformed social media and microblogging into a weapon, when it was always meant to be a tool to see how the grass is covered in green on the other side. And instead, what they have accomplished doing, YouTubers like Anthony, is that they've used it as a tool to enrich themselves off the back of individuals that have no defense to protect themselves from a content creator choosing to expose them in this way, use them for content in this way, and then not even take time afterwards to even see the fruit of their labors if they have, quote, gotten everything they wanted. It's like, again, I keep coming back to this analogy, it's like cheating on a committed relationship with a random passerby, dropping a mashed potato bowl in her drawers, and then acting like, oh no, I've got what I wanted from you, and then throwing a couple dollars on the bed. But you see, number 9 is the problem. He didn't even pay for it. No consequences, no true accountability, just a YouTuber apology and fucking off into the distance. Possibly to repeat this behavior again. No true learning, no true circumstance, and the only hope being that I hope grief and shame gets your ass. Which in many cases, for my taste, not fast enough. So, now that we're at the end of the video, let us look through the comment section together, chat. Boop, boop. Go a little bit bigger here. I can't stop coughing. I can't stop coughing. I'm sick. I'm sick. I'm sick. Okay. Zoom. I'm zooming in really close so that I don't have to scroll too hard and that everybody can see these things better. So, top videos on this content. I think my favorite repeating comment under his video was adult finds out that other adults have consensual sex. This dude is literally the equivalent. Oh! Neuralism would be great at single player Carl. The dude is literally the equivalent of that one popular kid in school who pretends to be friends, posting up here. Get this on screen. Change windows. Boom. This dude is literally the equivalent of that one popular kid in school who pretends to be friends with what they think is quiet or weird, while in the process being very patronizing, and in reality is just making fun of the kid with their friends. I don't think furries need to flex. We're suspiciously wealthy enough as it is. He really acted like this was a Vice News investigating North Korea or a Channel 5 investigating how immigrants crossed the Rio Grande, when it's more like I filmed myself buying a ticket to a nightclub and pestered people until they told me where to buy coke, then stole the microphone from the DJ for 2 seconds to say nothing. I remember one of my favorite posts on Timber said, OP said, hating furries is just the silencer on a gun of hating queer people, and it couldn't ring truer. I'm gonna push back on this, because most people choose to attack furries because they think they're lame and cringe and weird, and thus they elevate themselves over them by choosing to attack them. So, imagine the stalker kid in your high school that is always being antagonized as they have nothing going on in their lives, they're really annoying, they have nothing of value to consider or to give. Every single time somebody brought up that they're a loser, they were bringing up somebody else to be considered as an even bigger loser than them, so that they could go back to being a wallflower. It's more like a redirect. They don't need to attack transgender people in order to be able to attack furries. They just need a target that will be more distracting than them being attacked. Yes, Saf.
And well, I said they don't need a distraction, but I remember for a brief point in times like, hey, look over here, it's these bronies. These guys are more weird than furries, and then furries also joining in on that.
Yes. A lot of the times, whatever group is being targeted, all the other groups that would normally be targeted will do the equivalent of piling on just to hope that they're not the ones that get picked next.
Which is weird because like bronies and furries are kind of cut from the same cloth.
When you're thinking on that level, you're basically thinking about survival. And the way that a culture survives is by closing ranks. And so, if it happens on that social circle for those that choose to take advantage of it. So imagine the influencer marketing culture. Because Joe Cat was chosen as one of the people that would make
I saw that. I was fuming, dude.
That would
I
make
was seething.
a Monster Hunter's Wild Sword and Shield tutorial for the game. I don't care about Joe Cat's content. I don't care about his media placement. I don't care about his involvement. I don't care about what he has to say about the game. I'd rather see, does he play the game, or is this just them do the equivalent of getting an influencer to market the game the same way that they used Aaron Hansen to market Sega for however odd many years he was an ambassador. But at the same time, that's the social stigma that comes with it. So imagine that in the future that Anthony chose to do an event that happened to be congruent to furries. How do you think those furries are going to feel when they see this person who treated them like this before be associated with their brand work? The same way that people who are fans of something like Sega, something like Capcom, something like Nintendo first-party titles or Nintendo third-party titles from some other developers in-house, like Retro Studios, the ones who are known for making the Metroid Prime games, was to be responsible, or even the various games, the guys who were responsible for the Spyro and Crash Bandicoot remakes, and the lesser-known Diablo 2 remake. How do you think they're going to feel when they see this being the way that their shit is handled? What do you think they're going to feel like?
Obviously, they're going to feel very betrayed.
Yeah. The same way that Trash Taste Podcast is currently still getting their shit pushed in to this moment over them bringing on Hassan Biker. Like, the in-group is not going to tolerate the out-group choosing to shit on the in-group while also benefiting and profiteering from their support structure. That's not acceptable. We have the exact same understandings, and it's the exact same parallels in our social dynamics when conversing and communicating across the many conjectures that it falls on. They hate tourists just as much as we do. But we're always so focused on having to do this precognitive, dissonant hatred of each other, like we're Jets versus Sharks in West Side Story, or the fucking Montagues and Capulets in the modern update of Romeo and Shakespeare, of Romeo and Juliet. You know the one with John Leguizamo, and where their daggers are swords.
Oh.
The good one. But anyways, we're at this point where we have to pay lip service to an ongoing flame war that never dies down, because to find any amount of common ground with people that are considered enemies are the worst fucking thing that you could imagine could happen. Oh no, I'm agreeing with a furry. Furries are great! That's what it is. It's like, oh, I'm having fun with queer people. And even though we politically disagree, I don't feel like I'm not welcome here. It's like that. It's like you're possessed by the spirit of Adolf Hitler to do an inverse racism.
I mean, it's weird how, like, I'm usually the odd one out because I hang out with, like, well, this is gonna put me into, like, a weird stereotype. The base racist, white guy has a black friend who's a furry, like, everything that they hate, but they're fine with me because I'm nice. It's very strange how this keeps happening.
There are parallels that happen all over society, and the more you have people who are unwilling to notice them, the more you will start to notice them start to happen. And then the people who have to benefit off of the chaos that comes from the zeitgeist conversation will do more to try and keep you from noticing. Let's keep reading down. So, now we are here on this one. Went to Annie, 2023, the year you went. The not safe for work room was curtained off with the staff checking badges for 18 plus markers. Yes, cons of sexual stuff, but they're on the main floor.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what's more ironic about him AI generating art? Is that I feel that it's commissioning art to be a huge part of the furry experience. Big question mark there, but I'm going to let them have it. There's a sense of actual connection there, engaging in the community. I can't name a single furry who hasn't commissioned some form of art, or at least did a art trade.
I think.
An art trade or something. So this guy dressed up as furry, did some TikTok dances alone in his room, went skiing, like you said, awkwardly sweated around in a fursuit at a con. That's not being part of the furry community. It's not even scratching the surface. Since a lot of you people like reading comprehension, my point is that you don't need to commission art to be a furry. It's that commissioning art would have been the bare minimum of actually meaningful interaction that he would have done. That most furries have art commissions, art trades, or otherwise. I would say I understand the point that they're making, but it's very weak. That's like saying, in order to be a YouTuber, you have to hire people off the internet and get hit by multiple scam bots trying to get $100 out of you for work that an actual artist could have been able to sketch in 5 minutes for less than 15 with a line color, which I would say actually is something that will happen to you. The amount of fan art that I've received over the time of my account and presence as a creator, both before I became more serious and much more afterwards, as my work has picked up speed and popularity. The amount of projects that I've done that people like Elfticia have donated art to, the amount of crossover with art that I received not just from mutuals that specifically were thinking of me and thought, what's a really iconic thing that Carl's done, and turned that into a poster, but specific requests that mutuals that our artists have taken, not just for myself, but also for Star, as well as other people in the community, simply shilling out the money to make certain pieces of art possible, for no other reason than because I was nice, is probably
it's
a
sign of gratitude.
It's probably the biggest part that is actually to the detriment of being a content creator, that betrays how stupidly easy it was for him to just get better made art. Imagine if, instead of the premise being I invaded a convention or I went breakdancing, was I chose to become a furry for a year. Because it's clear to me, after a little bit preliminary research, that the reason he was going offline, or going hollow, as we say, was because he was doing this entire project. How easy would it have been if instead he had been doing shit on live streams where he would have been talking to people, or slowly documenting the process over time on the shit that he was involved in these scenes and spaces. And then when he went to go do the stuff in question, he showed the art that he was commissioning from people, the work that he had done, or shouted out the artists in said community that then would have allowed it to echo out like a ripple effect. Which, to that end, I need to see if these are on my desk right here. There's one of them. Can't find the other one. Okay, so I'm gonna hold this up to the screen. Back when I was in the... Actually, that one's in my wallet. Haha, I have two of them. And then I need the Sailor Moon card, which is behind my Social Security card. So, for one of the pieces of work that we have for the channel that I use on my thumbnails, I have an original in Wonderful World of DIC Sailor Moon trading card. Limited edition.
Whoa.
Fucking foil cover. Featuring Melvin and Molly and Serena. Melvin here, as you recognize, is the literal reference that I used for many of the versions of art that I have of myself for the channel. And when I was a part of the All-American Stream Team, which was the college stream group that myself, my personal friends, were involved in with making and supporting and keeping up and running and going, we would often collab and also get work from artists such as Kisaka Toriyama. Now, I'm pretty sure her prices have increased since the time I got this card. But she's still a functioning content creator and artist, as well as a streamer in her own right. And the amount of effort that you could have done as a creator to just simply go and request art, like go to a furry and then ask the furry earnestly, how do I come to appreciate being a furry? Because you can't come out as a furry without actually being a furry, starting off. That would just be spitting in their face. But you could say, how could I begin to understand what the furry lifestyle is like? So, instead, the video idea would have been, I try to learn furries in a year. Or I experienced the furry lifestyle for a year. You go and you learn about the community, you learn about the social space, you learn about their artists, and you start off small, right? They start you out on the gateway, which is getting your art drawn. Deciding what kind of fursona you have. Deciding what that fursona looks like. What kind of subspecies is it going to be? What kind of species is it going to be?
Everybody picks a dog, Carl.
Fuck no. I think they're lazy and they just like dogs because they like dogs. Dogs are easy, nice breed.
Dogs are
to start
easy to
with.
draw, and they're like cute and they're fluffy. You can wag your tail, and it's all cute and shit. But if I want to make a cat, and like I tell people all the time, is like, yeah, the cats aren't popular with furries. Maybe big cats, but not like, domestic.
Look, fuck all that shit. If I had to make this choice, I'm becoming an axolotl. I'm gonna be a water lizard, okay?
You can do that.
But he could have taken the bare minimum of time of just talking to the artists and learning what the biggest asks and the biggest no's are, and just design something and go from there. He could have found a more encouraging way to do this, but instead he decided to go down the route that was gonna be the most salacious. Because the most salacious part was I wanted to see what they were like in private. As though it's hard to find this shit. Truthfully.
It's not. I mean, I've seen like, I don't know if you've seen this, Carl, but I've seen like posters of like furry party advertisements from the 80s. And it was hand-drawn pictures.
Those are classic. The hand-drawn pictures, the hand-drawn buttons, the authentic nut stain on the corner.
Oh my god.
Anyways, let's keep reading. When he said you can walk in here even as an 8-year-old or 9-year-old, it felt very Save the Children. It gave me flashbacks to certain people like the gay and trans and furries are grooming our kids. It's so wrong, degenerates, and yikes. When he's infiltrating one private adult space only to come back and try to blame them for being themselves. I'm going to go ahead and push back on that simply because this is one example of a bad actor that is disrespecting and causing bad representations to the whole and bunch. So that's not really fair to the furries, and they're acceptably valid for having that reaction. Literally hashtag not all. That was sickening. I really felt sick to my stomach hearing about the perpetration of big gay. I'm also going to shorten LGBT to big gay. To big gay stereotypes as groomers and freaks by the YouTuber. So ironic that the normies point and laugh at furries for being cringe, and then they blow our cringe out of the water. All this did was making me more cautious and selective about room parties I attend and who's at them. Glad he could corrupt community of trust to add to his millions, literally a microcosm of the greater capitalist hellscape. I'm going to push back on this. And I'm going to say that this has to do more with YouTuber clout goblins. YouTuber and Twitch and Twitter and just influencer clout goblins are really the greater problem. Sure, blame capitalism, but you also have to blame the cronyism of how does one get clicks on the timeline? How do you get the algorithm to favor you? And ultimately, this is that perpetual the hate you give cycle that we can't escape as content creators. And if you have any more of them that you'd like to read down, I would suggest reading down from there. I need to really pee, so I'm going to cut it there. But let me finish my sentence before I send you all on your merry way. And then we begin the countdown till midnight. I have to figure out what the fuck is causing that. And I'm going to get on top of that right after the stream ends too. But anyways, back to the sentence that was already in progress. Just like how coal posting requires there to be eternal material produced so that you can keep the engine going, it doesn't necessarily care about who is killing and or bringing attention to the topic, as much as it does that whatever it is a close enough acceptable target to choose to pull people aside and make them feel as not accepted, not allowed, and not to be cared for. For this kind of content production, it requires you to already have made someone an acceptable target for demonization. I would say just simply making cringe, presenting someone as cringe itself isn't dehumanizing, but it's the demonizing quality that you are literally otherizing people that would otherwise be those protected, marginalized people. I'm becoming Kim Belair. I'm making space here. By choosing to target furries in this way, and very few of them ever have their own platforms to speak from because very few of them want to be in the fucking spotlight and limelight, you allow for the most deranged, unhinged, and mentally unstable content creators to effectively be permanently able to bully and force their way into conversations that they otherwise would not be welcome in, because they are dealing with the most unhinged social delusional freaks as the enemies they have to defend and protect themselves linguistically from, while having to deal with people who do not care about anything, effectively using them as a gotcha or as a clickbait experience to get people further involved in their antics. This is the sin that all slop quote commentary YouTubers and YouTubers in general will get because of us chasing the algorithm and chasing clickbait. Ultimately, we've already settled the matter on reacting harder. Now, if you were to look at this through the vectors of just content creation meta, technically, he made a video of great effort and great work with expense to himself in some capacity, but not enough for it to be legitimately critical, and all of it effectively has no real substance to identify it as positive, only afterward, and the substrate behind his intentions betray the message that you could extract from it. And the biggest problem that comes with, because if you have to look at it from the supposed, quote, capitalist position, if people like him make content like that constantly, that actually does push the Overton window. It should never allow for an Overton window to be pushed to the point where people will just believe something uncritically, because the worst and baddest representative people quantitatively were unable to present their argument to people for them to be convinced by their persuasive effect. Because, ironically, on the other side of this, because I have the screen zoomed in so far, there is actually a video from Turkey Tom 2 years ago that explains how Kara the Wolf, one of the two zoo sadists, one of which I talked about was Snake Thing that went to prison for what he did, just simply slipping out from underneath the cracks and returning to YouTube almost completely unscathed in terms of his platform was not deleted and permanently suspended, never to be seen for the light of day again, because people got a target, and while they know about Kira the Wolf, it's like talking about an urban legend, rather than documentation of a Rashomon event happening from multiple perspectives, from multiple communities, and multiple figures in those communities choosing to talk about the matter at hand. It is great that, alongside my opinion, we had Keith's opinion as well. Because, while I know what I know, I am not gay to the point that I have the inner connection and the inner mind on what is happening to a gay furry. But I have enough understanding from my experience as well as from the house rules about how to conduct myself in said spaces that I could infer, glean, understand, and immediately call what was going to be the highest stickling point in the mouth of a person witnessing it from their perspective. And really, at the end of the day, as fucked bullshit as his content is, he did end up bringing people together against him. Because now, especially with my stream helping you do this, you now have a better understanding of how the furries probably think and behave. If you didn't already come from that background yourselves. Because if there's one thing that you can take in from this, it's that because this video exists, you learn shit you otherwise would have not learned outside of a skit or bit between people who come from that background. And you get to actually be given a handhold with me as your tour guide. And that, at the end of the day, is what we're supposed to be working towards. Understanding, and at the very minimum, bygones being bygones, and communal aid and communal celebration. Coming together to put your foot on a man and crip walk on him. Although this looks more like the Yonkey Slinker dance. And that is worth its weight in gold. Ow, my legs. That being said, thank you for watching. I appreciate you and your time here. If you had fun, I had fun, and that's all that really fucking matters. Thank you to those who donated both on and off camera. I apologize that the streams keep cutting out as of late. I don't know what's causing this. It is something to do with my ISP. After this stream is done, I'm going to reset that connection, and then I will be up and around because I will be going live as soon as Monster Hunter Wild physically unlocks to be played, and then we will all be statues and digital poachers, boys. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. So, if you end up not... You're welcome. No, you don't apologize for coughing. If you do not see me before then, have a good night. We will see you when you see you. And do not forget to pick up your I Survived the Furry stream, because I thought it'd be one thing, and I'm surprised it was not another badge on your way out of the door. Those of you who have never been here before, I am Carl. This is my chat. This is VsChat, where we sit down, talk about, and learn about events that have either happened in recent, or we talk about topics presented from community members, such as horror, for us to consume and discuss, so that we can all come to a better understanding about the world, and maybe even have conversations that are worthy along the way. If you like what you see here, please consider donating, subscribing, and following on any platform in which you would like. You can find Carl and your Carl-related accessories on both YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, not Facebook, Instagram, and I guess also Kick. Although my main platforms are YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch at this current time. Thank you for watching. I appreciate the compliments, especially about the thumbnail. I went off what I had. I really need to pee. And I will see you all when it is time to get to hunting. Goodbye, everybody. Mwah. I will see you all next time. Stay thirsty, my friends. I love all of you equally. I will see you again, and I'm billing you to therapy. Legs.